Case number 3066, Whitley versus Fort Meade. All parties, please come forward.
Diamond Whitley is suing her ex-boyfriend, Gavin Forney, for a car down payment and an assault.
Miss Whitley, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship for a period of time. It is your claim that you loaned him money for a down payment on a car, and you're no longer a couple. You want the money back that you put down on the car.
Yeah.
And then you have an allegation of assault that he allegedly committed about a year ago. So you'll tell me about what happened, because I assume that that was the end of your relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Diamond Whitley claims her ex-boyfriend, Gavin Forney, owes for a car down payment and says Gavin assaulted her during a fight.
Now, did you live together?
Briefly.
From when to when?
From March 2022 to April of 2022, when the assault happened.
Okay. During what part of what month did you loan him money for a down payment on a car?
It was March 22nd, 2022.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding making that loan.
So we were using one car, my car, and
For how long? For a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I don't remember exactly
How long?
the amount of time.
Were you using the same car, sir?
About 4 months.
How long did you live together? She said you lived together for 2 months.
We lived together for 2 months, but she was staying with me at my brother's house prior to me moving into her place.
And sharing one car.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose car?
Her car.
You didn't have a car.
No, ma'am.
And then you moved in together and you got a car.
Yes, ma'am.
How much was the down payment on the car?
Roughly $4 grand.
Who put down the down payment?
She put a portion of the down payment.
What portion?
$3 grand?
Now you have the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're no longer a couple.
No, ma'am.
And what about the down payment?
She verbally told me that I could keep the down payment.
Tell me when she told you that you could keep the down payment.
After I moved out.
Okay, so before you moved out, when you were living together, sleeping together, eating together, vacationing together, then you knew it was a loan.
Yes, ma'am.
After you moved out and are no longer living together, sleeping together, dining together, vacationing together, then she said, forget about it, you don't owe me any money?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about that.
I can't remember exactly what she said, but she was saying that she didn't want any more problems between us and that I could keep the $3,000 for the down payment.
Did she say that over the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the phone call. Who called whom?
I believe I called her.
What did you call her for?
Because at the time I had her on my insurance. And when we got in the relationship, she got in a car accident. So after the relationship, I didn't want to keep her on the insurance just in case she would get in another car accident. So we were talking about that. And then I did tell her that I was taking her off the insurance, and it was supposed to be that. And then we got in a big argument, and she basically told me that I can keep the $3,000 for the down payment.
That sounds ridiculous. You mean you got into it while you were canoodling together, you realized it was a loan. Then you got into big arguments. You were taking her off the insurance. You were on the phone with her, and she just said to you, you can keep the $3,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, if she said it, she didn't mean it, because you're here. And originally, you knew it was a loan, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's your car. It's now in your name?
Yes, ma'am.
A loan?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay. Miss Whitley, you want to tell me about this assault, when it happened?
Yes.
Because I see that some of the facts have changed a little bit.
There's a little confusion about specific details, but what happened is on the night/morning of April 14th to April 15th, we had gotten into an argument because of infidelity reasons. And I had told him that I did not want to sleep in the same room or same bed as him. And he wasn't very fond of that idea. So he got mad and went out to his car. I thought that he was going to be gone the whole entire night. He wasn't. He came back in and he tried to sleep in the bed with me. I still did not want to sleep in the same bed as him. So I got up, I went to the living room. He followed behind me, was demanding that I go back into the room, go back into the room. I said, no, no, no. He got very mad. I was standing up, pushed me onto the couch, put his hands over my mouth and nose. I couldn't breathe for about 30 to 40 seconds. He let go, and he told me, "Are you going to get back into the room now?" I said, "Yes, I'm going to go back into the room." Instead, I ran out the door to my car. I didn't have my glasses. I didn't have anything but my keys. And I drove to the security post at my apartment complex, and they dispatched police for me. But by the time the police came, he had already been out of my home in his car, off somewhere else.
So, not excusing anybody putting their hands on anybody else for anything other than fondness. What he did was put his hands over your nose and your mouth like this for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
It was with the intent of having me not breathe.
Okay. Anything else? No. Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It was basically just over the $3,000 for the down payment of the car.
You look in the phone and you find the messages and it speaks for themselves.
She told me I could keep it, and she didn't, basically now it shows that I'm not supposed to keep it, so I definitely understand.
You can't really refute evidence like that, so
Time to part ways.
don't loan money.
I think you hit the nail on the head out there with when you were living together and would sort of be under the impression that it was a gift because it's your loved one and you're in this healthy, happy relationship and you gave me money for a car and now we don't have to share a car. I could see how that would be a gift, but he seemed to have seen it in reverse, that once he moved out and the relationship, degraded, at that point it was a gift. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I didn't go through the spiel. I've been through it so many times. Don't co-sign a loan for anybody. Not a child, not a mate, but they lived together for 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months.
$3,000 is a lot for a 2-month, trial.
Yeah, this is a working lady. It's hard to put together $3,000.
Well, I'm glad she got it back.
Me too. Furniture.
Yes, ma'am.
He did move stuff for you.
Sure.
That's not sure. We're not in a playground. The answer is yes.
Well, we were promised money constantly.
Listen, the doctor promised my mother that I'd be 5'6". You know how successful that was?
This is Judy Justice. Joseph Kendrew is suing his former boss, Natasha Sanderson, for unpaid wages and business expenses.
All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3157, Kendrew versus Sanderson.
Thank you. Ms. Sanderson, you own a staging business. Now, I know what that is. I'm not sure if everybody else knows what that is. Let me make it simple and tell me if I'm mistaken. You have a property that you want to sell that is either unfurnished or has furniture that's not great. Somebody hires your company. You have rental places where you go to fill up that house, office, whatever, to make it as good-looking as possible in order to have somebody either rent it or buy it.
Yes.
And you're paid for your service. It's a staging business. Did I get that close?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. How long have you had the staging business?
Almost 4 years.
Do you have any employees?
I do not have employees. I have independent contractors.
Well, when you say you have independent contractors, Ms. Sanderson, I'm an old person. And I know why people have independent contractors rather than having employees. Of course, that means they can pay him in cash, they can pay him in wampum, they can pay him in lira, they can pay him in whatever. Sometimes they 1099 him and sometimes they don't. These people who are independent contractors, what do they do for you?
Whenever we get hired for a job,
Who's a we?
my company. Whenever my company is contracted for a job.
Just a second. You're your company, according to you.
Yes.
Period. So whenever you get hired to do a job and you protect yourself by being incorporated, I assume you are incorporated. I know what staging companies do. What I want to know is what your independent contractors do for you.
They move furniture for me. They're glorified movers.
Are they companies or are they individuals?
Sometimes companies, sometimes individuals that we hire.
Who's the we
Me.
that you hire? Sometimes individuals. You see this gentleman over here, sitting over here in the black shirt?
I do.
Do you know him?
I do.
Who is he?
That's Justin Bakage.
And what does Justin do for you?
Justin no longer works with me.
What did he do for you?
He was an independent contractor that moved
Just a
furniture.
second. Just a second. He was an independent contractor. Did he have a company? Look at me. Did he have a company?
No, not to my knowledge.
How did you pay him?
My company paid him via Venmo or
In
PayPal
cash?
or
In
Cash App.
in cash, not a check.
Not a check, but sources that can be tracked by tax purposes.
Very good. And since he did not have a company and worked for you, did you 1099 him?
I attempted to.
Just a second. Did you 1099 him or did you not 1099 him?
I did not.
And how many years or months did you do moving for the defendant?
Started in end of May.
I like when people stand up when they talk to me. It makes me more comfortable.
Yeah, me too. I started like the end of May.
Of what
End of
year?
May of 2023, and then was done at the end of November.
How much were you paid?
$25 an hour.
Venmo or...
Yeah, however she could pay me. Like it would be sporadic.
Now, the time has long passed for 1099s. Did you receive a 1099 from Miss Sanderson? And how much money did she pay you in total from May through November?
Like I said, sporadic, because I would send her my hours, and depends. Sometimes she would send me like 2 cash apps of $500 each, or a cash app of, maybe 1,000, something like that, or even smaller amounts. So like probably total, I don't know, probably around maybe 2,000-3,000, maybe.
Did she have anyone else moving for her
Yes. Joe.
other than him?
She did sometimes have a couple that would work for her. I never met them.
Do they still do work for you?
He does.
What does he do?
He's an independent contractor. He does moving.
And I assume you paid him the same way as you paid this gentleman.
Yes.
Did you 1099 them?
Yes.
How much did you say they earned last year?
One earned, I think, $9,500, and the other one earned, I think, $4,500, thereabouts. I'd have to go back and look.
Did you 1099 anyone else?
I attempted to contact Justin, and he did not return any phone calls, emails, or messages.
Well, when you hired him, you're supposed to get his information, social security number, address, etc.
Yes, he was collecting unemployment.
Justin was working for her not a lot. Maybe he earned $2,000 or $3,000. That is what you told me, right?
I worked a lot more than that.
Well, then that makes you an idiot. You want to fess up to being an idiot?
Joseph Kendrew is accusing his former boss, Natasha Sanderson, of owing for unpaid wages and business expenses.
Now, did you 1099 anyone else?
I attempted to contact Justin, and he did not return any phone calls, emails, or messages.
Well, when you hired him, you're supposed to get his information, social security number, address, etc.
Yes, he was collecting unemployment. So he was working for me while collecting unemployment.
And you?
No, I
Just a second. I'm just asking you.
Anyway.
That's something that you knew.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the reason why you didn't 1099 him.
No, I did attempt to 1099 him.
Well, why would
but
you
I didn't-
attempt to 1099 him, Miss Sanderson? I haven't started on you yet.
I didn't
Why
have
would you
his social
attempt to
security
1099 him if you already knew that he was collecting unemployment and one of the conditions of his employment was he was going to get paid in cash unreported? I mean, that was the agreement. You're a smart gal. I can tell you're a business person, so you're a smart gal. You understood that. Okie dokie. Good. Now, Mr. Kendrew,
Yes.
how old are you?
39 years old.
What do you do for a living?
A financial consultant.
What training do you have to be a financial consultant?
I have a SEMA analyst designation. I work
A what? Slowly, because Sarah doesn't take shorthand.
Yeah.
She's a professional. She's a lawyer. Lawyers don't know how to do important things like take shorthand or type or anything else like that. So don't try to confuse Sarah. That would be hard for you. You have a what in the who?
Your Honor, I went to college.
You went to college?
Yes, ma'am.
That was a long time ago.
That was a very long time ago.
Yes. And what was your major?
Finance.
Did you graduate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you have a degree,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
bachelor's degree with a major in finance?
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that?
Secondary education.
Like what?
It is a analyst designation.
For whom?
I started at Merrill Lynch and worked on Wall Street for 10 years. And since then...
Shh, just a second. Merrill Lynch for 10 years. Well, that's a start. How did you end up moving furniture?
Well,
Just think about what you're going to say to me now. You have family? Do you have family?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you have friends?
Yes.
Okay. So think of what you're going to say to me. You worked for Merrill Lynch for 10 years, you could say, as an analyst.
Yeah.
And then what?
And I moved to St. Pete approximately 2 years ago.
From where?
From Cleveland, Ohio. And
why?
I was ready for a new start. COVID had just happened, and I was living in a residential neighborhood. St. Petersburg offered a lot of things that Cleveland didn't, and I was ready for a new beginning.
You mean St. Petersburg, Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of things, including better weather.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a job there when you moved?
No.
Who did you move in with?
I lived by myself.
Living off savings, I assume.
Some savings, and I did some independent financial consulting for a company that was located in Cincinnati.
How did you get into furniture moving and staging?
I had met the gentleman, Justin Bakich, and there was another gentleman who was also moving furniture for Natasha that wasn't mentioned.
You know that person?
Yes.
Yeah, did he move furniture for you?
Twice or 3 times, maybe?
Well, then the answer is yes. How did you pay him?
Same way. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal.
Go ahead.
So I met these gentlemen, and as I mentioned, I'm single, and they had an opportunity, weekends working part-time, and I just said, I'm gonna do this as an extra source of income, to have good habits, and to take advantage of the opportunity to start working with them.
That doesn't tell me how you met her. That tells me how you met him.
Justin was working for her. He called me up, said he had an opportunity.
Justin was working for her not a lot, according to Justin. According to Justin, he was working for her a little bit. Maybe he earned $2,000 or $3,000. That is what you told me, right? So he wasn't working.
That's what he was paid.
That's what I was. You said I was paid. I was paid. I worked a lot more than that.
Well, then that makes you an idiot. You want to fess up to being an idiot?
No. It's a lot more complicated than that, but yes.
I think that you are. I heard you, so you're not an idiot.
Right.
And unless there's some other favors going on around here, you work for $2,000 or $3,000.
Well, we were promised money constantly.
Listen, the doctor promised my mother that I'd be 5'6". You know how successful that was? And you don't look like the kind of man that works off promises. Put your hand down. I don't need you. You're suing her for $8,000. You say she failed to pay you money that you actually worked for, moving furniture, so you actually worked a lot more than he did, because he only worked $2,000, $3,000 worth. You moved stuff for her and paid bills for her over $8,000. That's what you said right here.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I better get an honest answer from you, because you understand this will not be good for you if you don't.
Absolutely.
He did move stuff for you.
Yes.
Yes. And he moved for you, you know, this other person, whoever he was that only worked a little bit. He moved things for you at the same time that Justin moved things for you, or at different times?
Different times.
And how would you reach him?
Text messages.
Do you have some?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them. I know what this is. I'm at Coolidge. Pics are in 4 minutes, then I need to go home and sleep, or at least shower before we unload Brandon. Who wrote that?
That was likely me. That was likely me.
I need to go home and sleep, or at least shower before we unload Brandon. Now that you're sending to him. There. Is a yes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a simple girl. You know, I'm a country girl. Simple. But if you, who look like a big, strong, strapping guy who gets a chance to work out and be in the sun, and your buddy, who you met, said, come with me, we're going to move furniture, and he only worked with you, and you took, at most, $3,000, I'm trying to figure out where the $8,000 comes from.
Joseph Kendrew is accusing his former boss, Natasha Sanderson, of owing for unpaid wages and business expenses.
Okay, I need to go home and sleep or at least shower before we unload Brandon. Now that you're sending to him.
Mm-hmm.
There. Is a yes.
Yes.
And he says you need sleep. I'm searching for help to unload the truck. And then you send him a number.
Yes.
I just texted her. And then you write an address. He says, got it. And then you say to him, don't forget the stuff in the garage, please. There's a warehouse and then there's a place, Brandon. So clearly, in July, he's doing things for you.
Yes.
Do you pay him?
Yes.
How much?
I believe that's also there with you.
Okay.
All the payments are there.
Well, let's see. Also, furnishing, nothing broke. I don't. Sending out those invoices, collect that money. Here's my hours for the last month to yesterday, 87.5 hours. And then you say, break them down for me, please, right? And he does. He breaks them down for you. You get 91 hours, not included the hours calling, reaching out to realtors, social media. I do that on my own. And then you send him $1,800. Is that right?
Correct.
You don't tell me in your complaint that she sent you $1,800.
I would love a 1099 for that, Your Honor, because I never got that money. And that's not to me.
Your Honor, that's me. She's texting me that. See, I worked as many hours as she did. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's not.
Just stand up. Are these
those are my text messages. Yeah.
These are your text messages.
So all the hours he worked, I was working with him the same time because I was driving the truck every time. So all the hours he worked, I worked. She would pay me sparingly because I didn't have any other, I had some hardships with my jobs before. Sorry. So I needed to get paid for rent and stuff like that.
You said that she paid you for your work.
Yes.
$2,000 to $3,000. Just a second.
Yeah.
That's what you say to me. You don't look like a foolish man. You're not suing her for any more money.
Nope.
Right. Your friend, who you say worked with you, your friend, that's him, worked with you. That's what he did. He was on the truck with you.
Yes.
He's suing her for $8,000.
Yes. He didn't get paid a cent.
Well, just a minute. But you only got paid $2,000 to $3,000, and you said he worked with you. He's suing her for $8,000.
Well, so two or three. So I had the same hours as him.
Just a second.
No, go ahead.
I'm talking about what you told me. You told me that you made between $2,000 and $3,000. And that's what you told me. You made between $2,000 and $3,000. That was his job. You drove. He rode on the truck with you. As far as you know, did he ride on a truck with anyone else?
No.
So that at most, just pay attention to me. So that at most, if she paid you $2,000 to $3,000 by the hour, she would owe him $2,000 to $3,000 for working with you. Don't anyone else speak but you.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a simple girl. I'm a country girl. Simple. But if you, who look like a big, strong, strapping guy who gets a chance to work out and be in the sun, accepted $2,000 to $3,000 for the work that you did, and your buddy, who you met, said, come with me, we're going to move furniture, and he only worked with you, and you took, at most, $3,000. I'm trying to figure out where the $8,000 comes from.
Very simple. Well, so I would always text her, I need the money for rent, because I needed it. So she would send me, like I said, she was cash at me, a couple cash apps of $500, 200, something like that, so I could pay rent. She would not cash app him. Now, he actually put money into the business. He would pay some people, do stuff like that.
Oh, well, I have to see that.
We had that. He actually one time paid me $1,000 for the work I did. I thought it was from her, but it was actually his own pocket.
Well, then he's ridiculous.
Oh, he's a good friend.
Just a second. He's not a good friend of hers. He just
No,
met
a friend
her.
of mine.
He just met her. And if you did work for which you didn't get paid, then I'm sorry, sir, that makes you an idiot. Unless there's something else that's going on here that I don't understand, which is all very possible. Because if I wasn't getting paid, I wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but we were promised a lot. Like, we were promised that one house had a lien on it for like $15,000, so money was going to come in. That never happened.
I just continued to work.
And we did an Airbnb, him and I together, and we didn't get paid for that. I mean, we heard that she was paying these other two couple $2,500, and we got mad, and we left one of the sites. We were mad because we weren't getting paid.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm. So we stopped. That's why we stopped working, because we weren't getting paid.
Great. Okay. Now you can sit.
Thank you.
So the next part of your claim, other than for these hours that you didn't get paid, and by the way, you have proof that you sent him this money and not Justin? Do you have proof that you sent the plaintiff this money through Cash App and not, your name is Justin, right?
Yes.
Not Justin.
No, I sent to Justin, not to Joseph.
You sent it to Justin?
Yes.
Well, then what did you show this to me for?
Because it shows where Justin brought Joseph to work for the first time. Not me asking for anybody to come to work. It was Justin was to come to work, and he brought his friend to work.
And?
I wasn't there. I went home to take a shower and go to bed.
How many times did he bring his friend to work?
Several.
Several. You have any communications with the plaintiff by text message? Is he going to be able to show me any text messages from you?
Sure. There ended up being a group message.
Right. So that you knew he was working with him on your behalf.
Sure.
That's not sure. We're not in a playground. The answer is yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes. And it would be fair to say, based upon this that you showed me, that has nothing to do with the plaintiff, that you paid him nothing.
Well, he was helping Justin.
I never...
Excuse me?
Sorry.
That's a question. Would it be a fair statement that you paid the plaintiff nothing?
Yes, correct. I didn't hire him.
Okay. Do you know that I don't believe you?
Than just me. There's other people that were relying on her.
You knew he was working.
He never worked for me.
I don't believe you.
I'm telling the truth, Your Honor.
A little bit slippery. I think you're slick.
This is Judy Justice. Previously on Judy Justice.
You're suing her for $8,000. You say she failed to pay you money that you actually worked for, moving furniture. Clearly, in July, he's doing things for you.
Yes.
Do you pay him?
Yes.
According to Justin, he was working for a little bit. Maybe he earned $2,000 or $3,000. That is what you told me, right?
I worked a lot more than that.
Well, then that makes you an idiot. Because if I wasn't getting paid, I wouldn't work anymore.
He actually one time paid me $1,000 for the work I did.
Then he's ridiculous. If you did work for which you didn't get paid, then I'm sorry, sir, that makes you an idiot. Unless there's something else that's going on here that I don't understand, which is all very possible. Would it be a fair statement that you paid the plaintiff nothing?
Yes, correct. I didn't hire him.
And now, the conclusion. Joseph Kendrew is suing his former boss, Natasha Sanderson, for unpaid wages and business expenses.
Now, do you have any text messages as it relates to the work you did?
Unfortunately, we were getting 75 to 100 messages a day. I do have plenty of other evidence that supports it, but I didn't
Like what?
Starting with my hours broken down.
No, I don't want to see your hours. Sorry, that's not happening.
She had us go and take a group photo, pictures, and I was on the website. So for somebody that didn't want to hire me.
Just a second. You have a website? Is there a website? Give Sarah the name of the website.
If Justin could look it up, or I could find it on my phone.
Find it on your phone. I want to see that on your phone.
Okay.
I want Sarah to look it up.
Okay. Hey, and we also have.
No. That's what I want right now.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know that I have it readily available at this second, but I have it.
If I have it readily available this second, I have all the time in the world.
It's on Instagram.
Have unlimited tape.
Phone's in airplane mode. You get it.
What is the name of her company?
LLC. And
Did you understand a word he said?
Yeah, I got it.
What? Did you understand what he said?
It was a little fast.
Justin, is the website on here?
Go to the Instagram.
I'm on there.
While Sarah was looking up your website, did you, in fact, post a picture of yourself and these two gentlemen on your website? The answer is either yes or no? Before she looks it up, which she's very good at, you saw the photograph that he wanted to show me. Did you, in fact, put that on your website?
I
Either a yes
did
or
not.
no.
No.
Is it on your website?
I have no idea. I don't look at my website.
Justin, stand up, move over. Can I?
It's actually not. It's actually on the Instagram. I took over the Instagram for her because I was posting pictures of all the stuff we staged. I was reaching out to realtors. I was doing all that stuff. So I can show you the whole Instagram, everything.
I'd like to see.
And it has our pictures on there. It even has it at his apartment complex.
Just a
That's where we
second.
took these pictures. Sure.
I don't care what you posted on Instagram. I want to know what she posted on Instagram.
Everything that we posted on there, she knew about because she has access to it.
I don't care whether she had access to it or not, sir. One thing about being on her website, don't come over here.
Oh, sorry. Got excited. That was at his apartment, Your Honor. And then we did this photo shoot like a week later.
Oh, yes, that would be you. So you did photograph yourself in sort of a unfold the arms.
Oh, sorry.
You did, in fact, photograph yourself in a glam shot at your apartment?
Yes, sir.
At your
Yes, ma'am.
apartment.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
With the two of them.
Yes.
And introducing the team. Our best casual team picture. Guess whose brains and guess whose brawn? Tell me that you've never seen that.
I have not seen that, actually. I've seen the picture. I did not see that post.
They didn't Photoshop you into this picture.
No, I sat there, yes.
You sat there, so you know who he is.
Of course I know who he is.
Of course. And you knew that he was working. You knew he was working.
Justin, yes.
No.
Joseph?
The plaintiff. You knew he was working.
We
Why
went
would
to
you-
lunch with him that day. That wasn't a work day.
Oh, no, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Your friend, according to you, paid $2,000 to $3,000 from her. I'm going to split the difference, $2,500. Probably she owed you more if you worked with her, but let's say $2,500. I'm going to split the difference. Did your friend Joseph work with you the entire time you
Absolutely.
worked for her? Shh. Worked for you the entire time. So all the time that you were working, delivering for her, etc., your friend was with you in the truck.
Yes, ma'am. And also, he actually worked with her by herself a couple times, too, when I couldn't work. And I actually brought him in, and she knew I was bringing him in.
Is that 2 times?
What, those two?
Yeah.
Multiple times they would work, and I'd meet them in my own car. He would actually drive the truck, or maybe she would. And I'd met them in my own car a couple times.
Okay. Now, what arrangement? Now, you can sit down for the time being, Justin. Mr. Kendra, what financial arrangement did you have with the defendant?
Yeah.
Because clearly you were there for several months, and clearly there was no money forthcoming to you. Madam, because you don't declare any money from this business that's clearly running cash, you don't think that I think that you worked for nothing for the past 3 years. You don't think that I think that you worked for nothing, because if I was in a business and I didn't earn any money, I would close the business and I would say, this is clearly not for me. So either you're not very smart or not very talented. I haven't figured out which one.
Joseph Kendrew is suing his former boss, Natasha Sanderson, for unpaid wages and business expenses.
What financial arrangement did you have with the defendant? Because clearly you were there for several months, and clearly there was no money forthcoming to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let me hear.
The first was a verbal contract.
No. Tell me what it was. Don't delineate as to what it is. That's for
$25
me.
an hour initially, starting for just moving furniture. Our relationship grew, and she wanted me to do financial consulting in addition to that, so the relationship grew. I have access to all their tax returns, their website, the bank, and as it proceeded, she was crying on my shoulder about her temporary financial emergency situation and that Justin wasn't going to get paid. She had just hired another employee or an independent contractor who has a family, responsibilities, and he quit his other job to come work for her on one of her job sites. He was going to leave after a week or two because he wasn't getting paid. It's bigger than just me. There's other people that were relying on her. So for me, I had already put in 230 hours, and I was trying to do the right thing. And if I didn't put in at least a little bit of money to try to finish these contracts, and it's a simple business. You take the furniture that's paid off, you set it up, you bill. For me, I felt trapped, and that was tough. But then I ended this, and this is the hardest part for me, was when we went to her house and we found out that she's neglecting and abusing a dog that was left in a cage all day, every day. And Justin will tell you, at that point, I said enough is enough, and I severed the relationship.
I want to see what expenses you paid for the business.
Yes, ma'am.
And I did find her LLC. It was filed in 2020. And
When was the last time she filed tax returns, do you know?
Under the FEI or the EIN number, it says applied for, but there's no date or EIN number, so I'm not sure.
So she never got an EIN number?
According to this, no. It says that the status is active, and it has a document number, but
She never got a tax identification number?
not according
Did you
to
file
this
tax
website.
returns in March?
I file them every year.
Did you file tax returns by March 15th of this year?
Not this year yet. We filed an extension.
Give me the name of your accountant.
I don't have it readily available right now.
Just a second. Give me the name of your accountant. Get it. It's in your phone.
I don't have it. My business partner has it.
I thought you owned the business yourself. Who are you?
I am Paula Heckenist. I met her doing
Just a
hair and
second.
makeup.
Do you work for her?
Yes.
Stand. Spell your last name.
Heckenast.
First name.
Paula.
When did you start to work for Miss Sanderson and doing what?
About a year ago, she hired my company, City Lights Beauty Agency, to do her hair and makeup for a wedding. And I have been her hair and makeup artist for various events and photo shoots since. And I've been around for all of this nonsense.
I'm curious. So you don't work for her. You do her hair.
And makeup, yes.
And makeup.
Correct.
I have a lot of people that have been doing that job for years. As you see, no one terribly effectively because, look at this.
You can always hire me.
I wouldn't do that on a bet. I want to know how she pays you.
Cash.
How much did she pay you in the last year in cash?
It's about $300 a pop, so maybe $3,000.
Did she 1099 you in January?
No.
Of course not. Now you can sit down.
Okay.
So you don't have a tax ID number so that you can't file tax returns without a tax identification number.
I do have one.
Give it to Sarah.
This page was only updated January 18th of this year, so if it came sometime after that, it's possible.
January 18th of this year. Is that
This
when you
page.
got a tax ID number?
Negative.
Okay.
The date is January 13th of 2021.
Did you file tax returns for 2022?
Yes.
How much did you earn in 2022?
I don't have that information available right now.
Generally, this is your only source of income, is that right?
I don't take a paycheck.
How do you support yourself?
I have alimony.
Do you know that I don't believe you? You do understand that?
I'm telling the truth, Your Honor.
Yeah. You paid Justin August 3rd, $1,400. You paid Justin $1,000. You paid Justin $330. You paid Justin $2,000. That's according to pay request. Now, my question to you, Justin, is 14, 24, 34, 44. She paid you about $5,000. That sound familiar to you?
Yeah, that's better. Yep.
Not 2 or 3.
Right. Okay.
Is that correct?
Plus another $2,000 that he took.
2,000 he took from where?
From a job that he sold. He took the check from the client.
No, it was $1,500 that I did.
Just a second. Was it anything, Justin? In addition to the $5,000, did you take another check from a client?
It was the $1,500 that the stage that I sold, that I called in, I got it all.
And used her furniture
Whatever
for,
it is,
right?
how much an hour were you earning, Justin?
$25 an hour. And Your Honor, there's no way. Oh, sorry.
There's no way what?
I needed his help. I mean, we were doing.
Just a second. I didn't ask you any. You were mistaken as to the amount because according to this is PayPal request. That's how much it adds up to, $5,000.
Makes sense.
Which you probably owe taxes on, maybe not, if that's your only source of income. You paid Justin $5,000, and Justin says that the plaintiff worked with him on the truck for the entire time. He worked for you, with you, as an independent contractor. These don't do it for me, sir. You understand? But I think that you worked for her. I think she knew you worked for her. I think she knew that that was the team. I think she advertised it. I believe she knew you were working for her.
Joseph Kendrew claims his former boss, Natasha Sanderson, owes for unpaid wages and business expenses he loaned to Natasha.
Now, you paid Justin $5,000, and Justin says that the plaintiff worked with him on the truck for the entire time. He worked for you, with you, as an independent contractor. You were aware of the fact that he worked on the truck with him. He was earning $25 an hour. So for $50 an hour, you were getting a mover and a driver to move your stuff.
Only I didn't hire Joseph.
Well, that certainly is a nice picture of you with the team.
That wasn't us working that day. I wouldn't be dressed in heels or a dress staging a home.
Madam, because you don't declare any money from this business that's clearly running cash, you don't think that I think that you worked for nothing for the past 3 years. You don't think that I think that you worked for nothing, because if I was in a business and I didn't earn any money, I would close the business and I would say, this is clearly not for me. So either you're not very smart or not very talented. I haven't figured out which one. I know that there's a certain lack of honesty about what you're telling me, because you handed this to me as proof that you paid him when this was not for him, it was for his friend.
Your Honor, I can explain it very well.
Then I'm all ears.
Every penny that the business has earned has gone right back into purchasing more furniture, more inventory. I own a box truck. I own a ton of furniture. We can stage up to 19 homes at one time. And all of that
If you're not making any money, I would close the business. If you're not making any money since 2021, I would close the business.
Well, I made it a promise to myself that if I could do this, because my alimony expires from the time I got divorced until 5 years, that I would put every penny back into the business so that I could grow. So that way, when I got to the end of the 5-year period, I could take the paycheck that would be the equivalent of what I was making in my alimony.
Nice. You didn't pay him anything.
We never had an agreement.
Okay, what other expenses did you pay for her?
You have the one sheet, and here's the other. Those are.
Talking about the U-Haul and everything.
Yeah, things like the U-Haul, things, business lunches. I have it even categorized.
She was in the U-Haul.
Here a little easier, but my unpaid labor.
Doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for me, Joseph. Your hours do it for me. Working for her does it for me. Going out to a restaurant to arrange for a telemarketing conference doesn't do it for me. Happy hour doesn't do it for me.
I have videos from that day as well.
Out. Out.
What is that?
Kevin, wake up. I put her out.
This way, please.
Okay.
These don't do it for me, sir. You understand? But I think that you worked for her. I think she knew you worked for her. I think she knew that that was the team. I think she advertised it. I think she certainly knew that you were with Justin on the truck, because it's hard to park and move. In any event, I believe she knew you were working for her. I also believe that the defendant is a little bit slippery.
He's a handyman. He owns his own business.
Mm-hmm. Did he work for you for a while?
He never worked for me. He was hired by the homeowners.
What homeowners?
The homeowners of the homes that needed work on them.
I think you're slick. When does your alimony stop?
3 more years.
Oh, well, so you're going to go 3 more years without drawing any money from this company? That's a real problem. Who's your partner? Is he a financial partner or is he a working partner?
He's a silent partner.
He's a silent partner because?
He put in money in the beginning.
How much did you put in?
I did not put any in.
How much of the LLC do you own?
I own 75%, he owns 25%.
Yeah, good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're finished here. Thank you very much. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
The judge was hard on me.
The cases are real, the people are real, and the rulings are final. It's great.
If that's the way it ends, that's the way it ends.
I mean, this is a good start.
He was never hired.
Pay your bills.
He was happy working for me. I don't know. I couldn't really tell you.
Take care of people.
I never authorized any of those expenses.
You do the right things, and that's all this is.
He kept showing up to work.
What else is she going to say?
We're not friends, and he keeps contacting my friends and my family.
She's slippery.
He's extorting me.
It's laughable. What do I think about it? I mean, countersuing, extortion. It'll get handled in court.
He's telling them to pay them $30,000 and he'll be quiet.
Meaning, we clearly work for her. Why do I can show you all her tax returns. She has me on the truck. She had me doing financial consulting. She has nothing. There's no other evidence. There's no other answer she could possibly give than to just deny that.
He's saying that he can go to the IRS on me.
And at the end of the day, we were just trying to do the best we could to help her business.
I wish I never had him around.
Pay your bills, do the right things, and I'm glad part of this is behind me.
You know, I sort of got the feeling that they were three slicksters. Mm-hmm. But there is no question that the plaintiff did, in fact, work for her, worked for her with Justin. Mm-hmm. She clearly knew that he was working with Justin. Mm-hmm. He's not a charity. Yep. Of the three of them, I think she's slicker than those two brains maybe put together.
And on paper, maybe we thought it was all three of them, but by the end of it, the plaintiff and his witness seemed more credible, but more outraged by what she was doing to not only them and their other employees, but also this kind of dog that was in the mix. I think that was they most offended by their treatment of that, by her treatment of the animal. But I did think they were credible. He obviously did the work. I agreed with you about, you know, some of the dinners, things are a little slippery there, but he admitted to that. He said, okay, fine. And he just let that point go. And he just wanted what he was owed for his labor, which I think he was 100% entitled to.
Right. Case 3167, Paley versus Moore. All parties, please come forward.
Cameron Paley is suing her former friend, Ashlyn Moore, for bail money she loaned to Ashlyn.
Ms. Paley, it is your claim that the defendant owes you $600, which was half the amount of bail that you paid for her when she was arrested for speeding. And during the course of this traffic stop, drugs were found in the car on her possession. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this happened when?
This happened on August 1st around 9:45 a.m.
And you were going where?
We were headed to see my friend Kendra in Gulf Shores.
Who was driving?
Ashlyn.
Whose car?
A rental truck.
And you were stopped on August 1st for speeding?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you issued a citation for speeding.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay the citation?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you were stopped for speeding, did the police conduct a search?
Yes, after he had told me that he smelled some marijuana on us, and he waited about 15 minutes till he could get his dog.
Did he order you out of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody?
I was pulled out about 10 to 15 minutes before they were.
You were pulled out first?
Yes.
And searched first?
Mm-hmm. We had a verbal agreement that if I took the blame for everything, that she would pay half of my bail.
If they found one joint in your pocketbook, they would have arrested you. And you were smoking and driving at the same time. So what was there to take blame for? But you could have killed them and other people too. That was foolish.
Cameron Paley claims her former friend, Ashlyn Moore, is responsible for bail money she loaned to Ashlyn.
Now, was the marijuana found on your possession? That's is not an answer. You've been very crisp so far. So was the marijuana found on your person?
No, ma'am.
Where was it?
It was in the truck.
Where in the truck?
I believe it was in my bag and also in the center console.
Just a second. What bag?
My purse.
It's not your claim that anybody, but you put it in your purse. No, so it was yours. Now, were you searched?
Yes.
Was anything found on you?
No, ma'am.
Was anything found in your purse?
No, Your Honor.
Was your witness searched?
Yes.
Was anything found on her person? Was anything found in her purse?
No, ma'am.
So the only marijuana that was found in Miss Moore's purse and in the console of the car?
Yes.
Is that the middle console
Yes,
or the
ma'am.
side? The middle console. So you were taken into custody because in the state that you were driving through, marijuana is not legal.
Yes, Your Honor.
A plaintiff says that your bail was $1,200 and that she went to the bank and took out the money and bailed you out.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you paid her back $600 of the $1,200. So tell me why you don't owe her the rest.
So when we were pulled over initially, when we first saw the flashing lights, Cameron was very hysterical in the front seat. She started spraying perfume, like trying to roll the windows down, turn the air on, airing everything out as
Just a
one
second.
would.
The only reason you do that is because you've been smoking marijuana, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And was everybody smoking marijuana?
Yes.
Including you.
Yes.
But you were driving.
Yes.
Well, that's actually no different from having a bottle of Tito's and drinking while you're driving. Is that your mother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Of course it's your mother. It's one face. What did your mother say to you when you told her this story?
She was very disappointed on us, obviously.
Did she tell you how dangerous she thought it was for you to be smoking grass while you were driving a car?
Yes, she did.
And that it's your fault?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, your car, your speed, your marijuana. Your
Yes, Your Honor.
marijuana. Now, you have 30 seconds to tell me why you don't owe her the other $600.
We had a verbal agreement that if I took the blame for everything, that she would pay half of my bail.
Well, you were to blame for everything.
If I took blame for everything that was in the car.
It doesn't matter whether you took blame for anything that was in the car or not. If they found one joint in your pocketbook, they would have arrested you. And you were smoking and driving at the same time. So what was there to take blame for? I mean, the fact that these two idiots were smoking too, it seems ridiculous. But you could have killed them and other people too. That was foolish. She says, Miss Paley, that you had an agreement with her, which if you did, I'm prepared to enforce, that you would pay for half the bail.
That is not true, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, then why don't you tell me how it came about that you paid the bail?
Okay, so once she got arrested, I was freaking out. We went to Walmart.
How did you get to Walmart?
Taryn drove the rental truck.
So she was smoking with everybody else.
We had not smoked that day yet, I do not believe.
You mean the police officer smelled it on your clothes? Well, that's possible. Unlikely, but possible. Okay, so she drove a little bit high to Walmart. And?
I was on the phone with her sister and her sister's boyfriend. I believe her mom was there, and they were basically pressuring me.
No. Did you speak to her mother?
I did not.
Okay, so you can't tell me what anybody else said to you on the phone. Okay. Now, I want you to tell me what arrangement you had with her, or she can tell me if you don't think that you had any arrangement with her to pay half the bail.
We did not have any arrangement to pay half the bail.
Okay, now let's have it, Miss Moore. Tell me when it happened, who was on the phone, was it in person or not? Let me hear.
It was in person. As we were getting pulled over, we knew that we were going to get searched. Whenever he walked up to the car to take my license and registration, he stepped back and was waiting about 10 minutes until he got his backup driver and the drug dog to search the car. As we were saying that, I stated, he's going to find something. Obviously, we have stuff in this truck. He's going to find it. And we all agreed, yes.
No. That's conclusion.
Okay.
I said to her, while you were all panicked, because the cop pulling you over for speeding, and you know you're going to get searched, and you're the driver of the car. And if you hadn't been smoking that day, well, which I don't believe, then you wouldn't really worry about the smell of marijuana in the car. So I want to know, as this event is unfolding, you've got lights pulling over, then you're having, by the way, I'm going to take the blame for everything, but you have to promise. Is that what you want me to believe happened? Okay. You have any proof of that to give to me?
No, ma'am. It was a verbal agreement.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. Your problem. Do you understand? Maybe your mother believes that nonsense, but I don't believe that nonsense, because at the time a cop pulls you over in a car and you know you're speeding and you know you have drugs in the car and you know you're in trouble. What you don't say to the other people in the car is, listen, if I get arrested for all this, we're going to share the bail. That doesn't even go through your mind. So, nice story, nice trick. It never happened. Goodbye. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I think that it's very upsetting that she didn't believe my story. As it was a true story, I wouldn't have lied.
She lied about the agreement. We did not make any agreement. She did owe me all my money.
It was all of ours.
Her family was trying to pressure me into bailing her out and told me I'd be a bad friend if I did not.
First of all, don't take the blame for everybody's stuff ever, and pick good friends.
Pick better friends.
I have a big problem with all those after interviews. For starters, as a mother, to say your only two pieces of advice for your daughter, who just went through this entire legal proceeding, sat in jail for 12 hours, and your only two pieces of advice to her were never take the blame for everybody and pick better friends. And people are really ignorant, but everybody knows that you should never drive when you're high.
Right.
That is pretty much a blanket, everybody knows that rule.
No excuse for that.
No excuse at all. And I think her parents should probably adjust her priorities and her advice to her daughter to make sure it doesn't happen again.
How about taking the car?
Yeah, or not renting the car for her.
Right, or that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Case number 3050, Cockrell versus McMurray. All parties, please step forward.
Justin Cockrell is suing his friend, James McMurray III, for damage after a golf cart hit his car.
Mr. Cockrell, it is your claim that owing to the defendant's negligence, your car was dented.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see a picture of the dent on your car?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a serious dent. Okay, let me understand the theory of your case. Mr. McMurray is a friend of yours. I assume you were there as well that day?
Yes, ma'am.
You were all having a pleasant afternoon, having a couple of drinks. Were you watching a sporting event?
We were watching golf.
At whose house were you
At
watching it?
Bubba's house.
Your house?
Yes, ma'am.
How many people had golf carts?
2. I drove my car over there. Everybody else lives in that neighborhood, so they'll drive their golf carts.
And Mr. McMurray, what time did you get to the event?
I got there around 2:30 that afternoon.
And did you bring your golf cart?
I sure did.
You drove your golf cart. On what date was this?
May 21st.
So let me see if I've got the alleged facts right. You wanted to leave at some point. You went outside and found that somebody's golf cart was blocking your golf cart
That's correct, Your Honor.
in the driveway.
Yes, that is correct.
The keys, I assume, were in the golf cart,
That's correct, Your Honor.
the one that was blocking your golf cart. So you moved that golf cart in order to get your car out.
That's correct.
Mr. Cockrell says that when you moved that golf cart, you moved it and left it negligently, so that golf cart rolled down the driveway and hit his car, causing this damage. I can't go grocery shopping anymore.
His friend, James McMurray III, owes for car damage after a golf cart rolled into his vehicle.
Is that the theory of your case?
That's correct, yes, ma'am. The golf carts were actually in the garage. I had parked parallel to the garage, so when the cart rolled, it rolled out of the garage and into the side of my car.
Okay. And you, Mr. McMurray, don't deny the fact that you moved somebody else's golf cart.
That's correct.
And you don't deny that that golf cart that you moved caused the damage to his car.
When I got back to the scene, the cart had hit the car.
So those are acknowledged facts. You moved the golf cart. As far as we know, you were the last person that touched that golf cart. That golf cart caused this damage, and he wants you to be responsible. So now, with those agreed facts, which really makes my life so much easier, I want you to tell me why it's not your fault.
Your Honor, when I moved the golf cart, it was blocking my cart. So I moved it to the left of mine. So when I put the brake on the golf cart and walked behind the golf cart to get back to my cart that was right next to it, and I backed up, took my time, making sure I didn't hit the car in my golf cart,
I turn around and I head to my house.
At what time was that?
I'd probably been there 45 minutes, so 3:15.
And you went home to do what?
I went to go home to take care of my dog.
What did you have to do to take care of
I
your
needed
dog?
to let him outside to use the restroom.
Did you?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you do? Then you came back to the house?
Then I came back
to the house?
Yes.
So would you say you were gone 10 minutes?
Yes.
So now you're gone 10 minutes. Just let the dog out. Now you're gone 10 minutes and you come out and you find that the golf cart that you moved, without anybody's permission, by the way, you didn't ask the owner of that golf
No, I
cart
did
if you
not.
could touch it.
The keys were in it.
Well, if the keys are in a car, sir, and you pull up in front of the Piggly Wiggly, and the keys are in a car, but it doesn't belong to you, but the car is sitting right where you want to put your car to put your groceries in, and just because the keys are in the car doesn't mean you can drive it, right?
Right.
So without permission, you got into somebody else's golf cart and moved it. And within 10 minutes, his car is damaged.
That's correct.
So give me a theory, sir, of what happened that you're not responsible for.
Like I said earlier, Judge, I moved the cart, parked it, and I walked behind that cart. If this cart is what they're alleging rolled back on its own, then wouldn't it have hit me when I walked behind it, getting into my cart?
Maybe it needed a nudge from the wind. Maybe it needed something else. But that's not the kind of intervening act, sir, that gets you off the hook.
Well,
doesn't get you off the hook.
okay.
I'm going to give you an example, my favorite example. Many years ago, I tried a case that changed my life to a minute degree forever. You know, you go grocery shopping, you go to big stores, and they always have a place where you put the grocery cart after you finish loading your car, right? Put them here. So this particular case was about a woman who went shopping and she had a big load of groceries and she unloaded the groceries in her car and then do what some irresponsible people do. They just leave the cart there. Cart can roll, cart, can be touched, whatever. And the cart rolled into another car and caused damage. The defendant's defense to that case wasn't her, it was wind, which is an act of God. Wind came and blew the shopping cart into the plaintiff's car. Well, the wind isn't an intervening act, because if the shopping cart had been put into its place, wind, rain, frogs, hail, nothing would have happened to the plaintiff's car. We understand each other?
We do.
That's actually not the punchline of this story, because after all, we're just dealing with a dented car here. After that case aired, because I was doing it in the television courtroom, I was shopping in Publix in Florida, and I unloaded my groceries in the trunk of my car and was going to leave the shopping cart there. And 3 women got out of a car together who had clearly seen that episode and stood there with their arms crossed, waiting to see if I was going to put the shopping cart back where it belonged. So when I say that case changed my life forever, I can't go grocery shopping anymore unless, I don't care where it is, it could be 20 blocks away, but that shopping cart goes where it's supposed to be because somebody's around who's going to take my picture, leaving that cart around, and it's going to humiliate me. So what I'm saying to you is, it's your fault.
It wasn't my golf cart. It wasn't my house.
It wasn't. It was just a second. It wasn't your golf cart, which means you shouldn't have touched it. Which means if you wanted to go home and let your dog out, which you probably should have done a half hour before, then you go inside and say, because you know all these people, whose golf cart is that? It's blocking me in. Can you move it? That's easy. You would do that with a car. You just took it upon yourself to go to touch somebody else's property, and within a millisecond, because nobody else came out and touched that car, you were the last person who touched that golf cart. You were. It caused this damage. Don't make excuses. Accept responsibility. Shouldn't have done it, whether you forgot to put the brake on it or not, because I've driven golf carts. We have them around, and sometimes I forget. It says turn it on, and then you hit the brake, and there are 2 brakes. So I never park it like this. If anything, I park it like this against a tree, so it can't go anyplace. It's your fault.
Well, that brings up
another... It's your fault. May I have the estimate to fix your car,
yes,
please? What year car is this BMW?
It's, 2011.
Judge, can I ask you a question?
No, I don't answer questions. That's one of the delights of this job. I ask questions. I don't answer questions. Nice. 1482, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Wasn't my golf cart. I wasn't driving.
Bubba had actually gone outside shortly after Dab left, and he saw it happen.
Whenever I left, I got out of that cart, walked behind it, so wouldn't it have hit me?
I think if he'd done the right thing, owned up to it at the beginning, and said, yeah, let's work it out, but
And it's been a little hairy. We're probably gonna work it out.
we'll be all right, because we'll get past it. I told him that from the beginning. I said, hey, no matter what happens, you know, if you pay me or not, whatever, I'm not gonna let that come in between. We've been friends 15 years, but it's like, dude.
You know, I have been noticing that whenever we go to Publix together, you do park extremely close to the cart return now. So,
Not to the entrance.
No, the cart return is the place to be.
Now you know why.
Now I know why.
Case 3047, Blake versus Brzezinski. All parties, please step forward.
Edwin Blake is suing business owner Kyle Brzezinski for property damage and filing a false lien on his property.
Mr. Blake, you are a landlord and you have several rental units. One of the units that you have has been occupied by Mr. Brzezinski's cousin for the last 10 years. And she's been a reasonable paying tenant. We've had no difficulty. Is she still your tenant?
She is.
And Mr. Brzezinski, who is her cousin, never lived in that unit.
Correct.
How many rental units do you have altogether, sir?
At this time, I have 5.
Are they all in the same building?
No, they're individual houses, and I have one that's in Florida, condo that I rent as well. So that's one of the 5.
So Mr. Brzezinski's cousin lives in one of your houses?
Correct.
This is what your lawsuit is about, sir. It is your claim that Mr. Brzezinski, without your authority, did renovations in that house in a bathroom. And when he asked you for payment for the renovation, you said, I never authorized the renovation. I'm not paying you for renovation that I never authorized. He put a lien on your house. And when did he put the lien on the house?
It would have been February when he executed the
February of
23. Correct.
And when was the work done on the house?
In December.
Of 22.
22, correct.
Mr. Brzezinski says that you did, in fact, authorize the work, that he had an absolute right to put a lien on your property. He's got a counterclaim for $10,000 for the work that he did. Okay, so Mr. Brzezinski, actually, the ball is in your court.
Okay.
When, for the first time, did you meet Mr. Blake?
I've never met Mr. Blake.
Okay, so this is the first time.
This is the first time.
And what kind of business are you in?
I am in construction and general maintenance.
Who do you work for?
Myself.
In what state?
Wisconsin.
Are you a licensed contractor?
Yes, I am.
What's the name of your company?
K&K Pristine Exteriors.
Could you check that for me, please? Sure. And how long have you been in business?
2 to 3 years.
What did you do before that?
I've done all sorts of construction beforehand. Glass and glazing was the most recent one.
So you've never met Mr. Blake. So any conversations you had with him were either over the phone or via texts or emails?
Everything was through his maintenance guy, Mike Bennon, who is his witness.
Ma'am, he's not my maintenance guy.
Just a second.
Okay.
So you've never personally had a conversation with the plaintiff?
That is correct.
That's a big problem for you, sir. Now, you've been in the construction business. You have a company. Sarah's looking up the company. I assume you have a website. Is that right?
Yes.
The area of the house that you worked on was the bathroom for your cousin. I want you to tell me when, for the first time, you saw your cousin's bathroom.
Probably about 9 years ago, right after she started
Just a second.
renting.
And more recently?
More recently would be August.
I want to know how it came about, Mr. Brzezinski,
Yes.
that you saw the bathroom. Did your cousin call you? Were you over there for a visit? I want to know how it came about, since you had no contact with him.
Well, her and Mike had called me about how the bathroom was in such poor condition.
Who's Mike?
Mike Bennon is his witness sitting right there, which would also be my cousin's boyfriend.
Oh, just... oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just a second. So this man, you say, is your cousin's boyfriend.
Yes.
And either she or he called you to come and look at the bathroom.
That is correct.
Okay. Was he living there at the time?
No, he just stays there every so often.
How long have you known him?
I have known him once she introduced me, which would be a month or two before in August.
In August?
Yes, that's when the first conversation about this renovation being done took place.
Okay, so
August
this
19th.
Just a second. So this is the boyfriend,
Yes.
according to what you know,
Yes.
of your cousin,
That's
who you
correct.
know is a renter.
Yes.
Okay, and then what happened, sir?
They
I
had-
want to know how it came about that you did the renovation, since you had no conversation with him at all personally,
Okay.
and you met him only for the first time today. You're trying to scam.
Lane's business owner, Kyle Brzezinski, damaged his rental home and filed a false lien on his property.
Okay, so now the ball is in your court.
August 19th, they had called to have me come meet and look at the bathroom, which I did. And Mike was there too, as well, had us look at it and said, I go, yes, I can do that. And he said what he wanted done to the bathroom. So leave the tub.
You mean this man
Yes.
told you that?
Yes,
Okay.
leave the tub and leave the tile up the wall halfway. And then he was doing window work on the apartment, on the house, replacing the windows. So they offered to leave the dumpster there so they didn't have an extra charge with the dumpster, because there was a dumpster on site. I said I cannot get to it right now. It would be late November, December before I'd be able to get onto this. So as time went, they got a hold of me and wanted me to come help grab a
Who
toilet.
they? You mean
Mike-
your cousin?
Mike got a
And
hold
Mike.
of me,
And as far as you know, he's still dating your cousin.
as far as I know.
Okay, go ahead.
So Mike had me come meet up with him to pick up a toilet from another one of Blake's units to use on my cousin's remodel.
So he found a toilet for you.
Yep, from another one of his rentals.
You know anything about that? No. Just check. You know anything about the other toilet? That's all I'm asking you.
I do.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll get to you in a
Okay.
second. Just maybe.
So I did that, and then conversation came by in November when I said, I got time to do this now. Is this good to go? And I got a yes from my cousin saying that Blake had authorized it, and a yes from Mr. Bennon saying it was authorized to go ahead and do the remodel. So then I started on the remodel in December.
You can't do that. You can't do that, Mr. Brzezinski. Sue your cousin. Your cousin authorized you to do work in the bathroom. He never authorized you to do anything.
Mr. Mike Bennon was acting as the agent.
Oh, no, sir. That may have been a giant leap for you. You said you had a conversation with your cousin.
Yes.
And she said, okay, go ahead and do it. And you did it.
Yes.
Did I get that right? Did he? She said,
go ahead and do it.
She said, go ahead and do it. Sue her. You're not losing. What do you want to interfere for?
Okay.
Your cousin said, go ahead and fix my bathroom. Sue her if she didn't pay you. You can't put a lien on his property. That's fraudulent. That can get you in real trouble, sir. If you have a license in the state of where? Wisconsin?
Yep.
Yeah? They can lift your license for that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Because I'm going to send them an order.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I don't understand what you're thinking. You knew she was a renter.
Yep.
You say I have to get a contract with the owner of the house to do that. You've been in the business. You said 2.5 years. You have a company for him?
I couldn't get to the website because it was a spam risk to go to the website, but I have a Nextdoor page for the business with a little blurb on their story that doesn't really read professional. It reads more hobby-based.
Got it.
He does landscaping.
It's mostly landscaping.
Mostly landscaping.
His license
By the way, do you?
Qualifier.
By the way, in Wisconsin, I know I've had to renovate bathrooms and I've done bathroom renovations, and all of that requires permitting. Did you pull permits on this? Think very carefully. Did you pull permits on this bathroom?
No, I did not.
No, but you were required to pull permits
There
on
was
the
a
bathroom.
permit pulled for the renovations being done already on the house.
You, in the bathroom, didn't pull permits?
Nope.
No. Well, this is a very easy case. I don't even have to ask about a toilet. You didn't have to open your mouth. Mr. Brzezinski.
Yep.
I am sending an order to
Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection.
That's where it's going. And it's going to be a strong order. It's going to indicate that you had no permission from the owner of the property to do any work on the property. That's what I found. You've signed off on that, on any judgment that I make, that you sued the wrong person because the owner of the property never gave you permission to do any work, that you did work without pulling permits, and I'm directing them to remove the lien on his house. Do you understand?
Yes.
Great. Now go sue your cousin to get paid. Got it?
Yep.
Yeah, you're trying to scam him. You can't do that. You can't do work for somebody and then say, now I want to get paid. I've never spoken to you, but now I want to get paid. And if you don't pay me, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make your life miserable by putting a lien on your house. And by the way, if you get me a number, I'll call them as well. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Lien will be removed.
This court is adjourned.
Well, he sent me a bill and he threatened to sue me, but he didn't sue me, and instead of suing me, he put a lien on my property. I didn't even know he was doing it, and I get a bill for this big amount of money to pay for a job I didn't ask for, and the work was just absolutely terrible. I'm not saying he's a crook in general, but in this case, he tried scamming me. Happy it's over.
So I hope I made it clear what I found. I couldn't find a website on the defendant's LLC, but I did find a Nextdoor page, which is just a business page. It's for neighbors to get ideas. If you're looking for a contractor or a landscaper, neighbors can post on there and give suggestions. So I found his page on there, but in the About Us or Our Story section of his business, it says that he started out landscaping because his mother had a vegetable garden, and then he was good with his hands, so he made it a career choice. But it all seemed very hobby-based and more landscape-based
rather than construction.
A licensed contractor able to redo an entire bathroom. But you know, I think the right thing happened. He can't file a lien on someone's property, and
come on, that you've never spoken to.
Exactly. I was surprised at his position because I know we spoke about this before, and we thought he was going to come in saying that he had all these documents signed with the plaintiff and conversation. Never seen him before today. Just met him for the first time, so kind of was dead in the water before he got there.
We'll do that order, and I'm confident that it'll work.
Yeah.
That they'll remove the lien from his house.
Yeah.
Are you a victim of an assault? Go to judyjustice.tv. Robin Shepler is suing her former neighbor, Garrett Tappendorf, for a mobility scooter and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3053, Shepler versus Tappendorf.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Shepler, am I correct that the two of you were neighbors in a mobile home community?
Correct.
How long had you been neighbors in the community where you lived?
2 years.
Did the two of you ever see each other socially?
Just the two of us?
Just the two of you.
One time we went for a Friday night fish dinner, yes.
Other than the one-time Friday night fish dinner, did you ever go out socially with him? Either two of you or another couple or...
With other neighbors in the mobile home park.
Your case is about a scooter that you sold to the defendant.
Correct.
I want you to tell me exactly what kind of scooter it was because I wasn't able to get enough information about it.
It's called the Golden Companion 2 scooter.
Where did you get it from?
My father bought himself the scooter and a wheelchair. He never used them before he moved into a
So
nursing
you
home.
got it from your father?
Correct.
When? What year?
2018.
And how long had he had it before he gave it to you?
3 years.
And where did he get it from?
He purchased it from a connection he had at the VA center.
From a private person?
No, it was from the company directly.
Any luck?
So I just need to know if it's a 3-wheel or a 4-wheel.
3-wheel.
Then I have for a new one from Golden Tech, I believe.
Well, this one's 8 years old.
Well, I have what a new one is,
Okay.
and then I have what some eBay offers
Okay,
are.
good.
But 2756
Is new.
Is new. And then I could look up some used ones if you want, just to get
Could
an
you do
idea.
that from 2015? I would appreciate it. Okay. At the time that you claimed the defendant purchased this scooter from you, was it running?
No.
In what month and year did he purchase it from you?
May of 2021.
And how long had it not been running? You had had it since 2018.
As far as I know, it just needed 2 new batteries.
It's not what I asked you.
Okay.
How long had it not been running?
I'm not aware.
So as far as you know, it had not been running since 2018.
Yes.
Tell me what the arrangement you made with Mr. Tappendorf was with regard to the scooter. He said he wanted it. You said...
Said, well, it's not running. I wanted to get new batteries for it and sell it myself for about $3,000.
Yeah, well, that would be hard since it's 8 years old and the new one costs less than $3,000.
So I said, we can work out a deal.
Just do you understand what I just said?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So he said he's interested in buying it, and I know he's a handyman. So I asked if he would be willing to install a dishwasher in my home and a water softener in my home, and we could work out a discounted price for buying the scooter from me.
So what price did you work out?
At that time, I had mentioned $1,500.
Is that what he agreed to?
It was a verbal agreement. There was no talk on price.
No, there cannot be a contract without terms. Have to be terms. You say this is what you want. He says this is what I'll pay you. And I will do something to reduce that price by so much. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay, so far we don't have a contract.
No.
In what month and year did you take possession of the scooter, sir?
I believe Robin is right, May of 2021.
How much money did you give her for it?
None.
Did you ever give her any money for it?
Yes.
When?
Close to 8 months to a year later.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding you giving her money for it.
Well, I thought we already had it worked out with all the labor that I did. And my girlfriend took it down to the mailbox. And as soon as she left, Robin's right across the street. She come running over and she said she wanted more money.
Okay, well, I'm missing that whole, there's a whole piece missing there, sir. 8 months later, you gave her money.
Yes, I did.
How much?
$500.
Okay. Sarah, in your adventure on the machine, did you come up with a price for a used?
Yes. So there's actually one right here on eBay that's the same 3 wheels that needs batteries for $350. And then there's another one for $250, and they range up to about $750.
Your Honor, I have the information on that too from 2 companies in La Crosse.
No, I don't need any information from you. I have a very trusted clerk here who's just looked it up and indicated that for a used scooter, the range is from $250 for that year model to $750 for that year model, right?
That's what she looked up. This was an unused, never used scooter.
That's what she looked up.
Yes.
Also, if I may ask you, Your Honor, or show you, it is a manufactured.
So far, you're not losing, sir. So I don't know what you want to contribute to this.
I just I have an old flip phone with the date on it. It was manufactured 05/28 of 2007.
Okay, so it wasn't 2015, it was 2007.
That's what I found on the scooter.
Kevin, can I see the document that the defendant referenced?
Okay, I'll show you.
No, you had it right over there.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, that's just, here, it's on my phone, Your Honor, and I don't know if you can look at it. I just wrote it down so I had it in front of me, but
okay.
I have it on this phone. If you can operate it, I don't know.
I can't operate it, and I don't want to operate it here.
Okay.
Return this to him. Anyway, the $500 that you gave to her is more than reasonable for the scooter.
Robin Shepler claims her former neighbor, Garrett Tappendorf, harassed her for months and owes for a mobility scooter.
Now, you did other work for her. Tell me what other work you did for her.
The work that I performed for Robin was she had no dishwasher there. So I cut the cabinet out, prepared a spot for the dishwasher, had to go through more cabinets to get the plumbing over to the sink. Then it needed to have electrical work to power that up. And she asked me to install another electrical outlet for her microwave.
Now, Miss Shepler, you seem to acknowledge that the defendant did, in fact, install a dishwasher for you.
I did some of the work as well for that.
Well, that's your home.
Yes.
It's not his home.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do as much work as you like. And this was part of the deal for the scooter, which he paid you $500 for, which already covers the cost of the scooter. So now he's working off nothing. So he installed a dishwasher for you.
He did sub-quality work, though.
Well,
I have photos if you'd like to see.
I don't want to see, madam. If you want a professional installation, call a professional. If you want your neighbor to do it in exchange for a scooter, then you don't complain that you don't like the work. Does it wash dishes?
I had to replace it. No.
It was used, Your Honor.
What?
It was a used dishwasher.
Yeah, replacing the dishwasher. Does the current dishwasher work?
Yes.
Is the current dishwasher a new one?
Yes.
Was the one he installed a used one?
Yes.
There we go. So far, he's paid for the scooter. Punitive damages for harassment. You want to go into that, Ms. Shepler?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
I knew him for 6 years prior to being neighbors. In that time, we would have community fires, bonfires, and he had this habit of turning his music up so loud.
Just a second. Give me a month and year.
This specific time for the last time was on March 16th. This was during the day.
Just March 16th, 2023. He played his music too loud.
I was working, and I couldn't do my job across the street because his music was so loud.
Next.
So I called the police. And the next day I came home from work, I get out of my car, and he calls me
that's a nasty word.
No, I did not.
Just a second. And
other vulgar terms.
And
he had the habit of standing outside urinating where my grandchildren would see him.
Well, tell me when. Give me
every other day he did it.
Well, then you shouldn't have let him in your house to install a dishwasher.
He also had...
Just a second. So my question to you is, if it was vulgar then, which to me it would have been, why did you let him in your house to install a dishwasher?
I was not aware of those actions that he had at that time.
Okay. Next.
The harassment comes from after he was served his small claims case that I filed. I witnessed him putting spotlights out in his front flower bed and running extension cords to power them. And I kind of wondered what he was doing. At 6:30, I proceeded to go to an evening activity. I came home at 10:30 at night. I turned the corner onto my street to see the entire street lit up because these spotlights are shining on my house. I proceeded to call the police. The police came within 11 minutes. I have documents of the police. I have a video of the police going to the defendant's house in which they spoke to him, and within 3 minutes, the lights went off. But I had my camera rolling, and I could see the police were standing 10 feet away from the door. Next thing I know, the police are coming over to my house to talk to me, and when they came to my door, I turned on my front light. When the police came, they asked me to turn off the lights so they could talk to me, and I told them, this man is harassing me. I'm afraid of him. He has a problem with alcohol.
Why did you file a small claims case against him? I don't understand. You were paid more than the scooter was worth between the $500 he gave, plus in addition to that, he did some work in your house, whether you liked the work he did, whether you didn't like the work that he did. I'm not understanding why you filed, because you say this harassment started after you filed the small claims case.
Yes.
And I don't understand why you filed a small claims case against him.
I feel it was a brand new, unused scooter that happened to be 6 years old at the time. So I think the value was higher than $500. And I brought over a flyer to him, which I have here. And we sat down and we discussed it, that $1,000 would be the going price for what he'd owed for the scooter, having done the work.
Okay. First of all, whatever it was a plus item for you. It was given to you by your father who couldn't use it anymore. You don't know what he paid for it. He says from the scooter, it was built in 2007, despite the fact that you say your father bought it new in 2015, which I'm not so sure about. But the highest price for that scooter is $750. The highest. The lowest is $225 in the same year. So you got paid for it. I don't understand why a busy woman like you would waste your time. I just don't understand. You seem like an intelligent woman. You have a counterclaim. It is your claim, Mr. Tappendorf, that because the plaintiff called the police on you several times, it caused you to be evicted from your home.
That's true.
Show me.
I filed a counterclaim in the amount of $1,800.
I have it. And it says punitive damages for losing home and moving expenses, which I read your counterclaim, and you say because of her constant complaints about you.
I don't have any proof.
Well, if you don't have,
I know,
Mr. Tappendorf, you know what happens when you don't have proof?
You get nothing.
Right. Right. Because you filed the counterclaim, and I can't tell you what happened. You have to have proof and be able to show me that the reason you were asked to leave the leased property that your mobile home was on was because of the plaintiff. It's possible that it was, because the police, based upon what she tells me, were called twice.
It was more than that.
Well, that may be more of a reason. You don't have to help his case.
I've never had a ticket, never had a warning. I just had a warning one time that the radio was too loud, please turn it off. These lights that she's talking about
I'm not interested.
False.
Sir, all you have to do is show me that you were evicted from the property because of the plaintiff.
It's all hearsay then, Your Honor.
Well, then I have a problem.
I do have proof of what he harassed me with.
Just a second.
And later today,
According to what I read,
Robin Shepler claims her former neighbor, Garrett Tappendorf, harassed her for months and owes for a mobility scooter.
he has no case. Why are you helping him?
I'm not helping him. I have my own case against.
No,
my
your
tort
case is dismissed against him.
Thank you.
Because you have no case. You were paid for a scooter more than handsomely. You had work done in your house. You were paid far more than the value of it over the internet for a scooter that's between 8 and 14 years old, more than handsomely, and you had work, and he did work for you. That you may not have liked the work, but he did the work, and you installed a new dishwasher that works. And he did the cabinetry. You may not like the way he did it, but you installed the dishwasher there, and it took time. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we're done here. Go, be well, have a happy life. You're not living there anymore?
No, I'm not, Your Honor.
Good. Are you living someplace else that you like?
More peaceful place.
Good. Glad to hear it. That's
He's
it.
not
We're done.
supposed to be in our park, and he continues to.
This court is adjourned.
He was in front of my camera riding in circles. I'm on Robin's camera. I'm on candid camera, doing burnouts with my scooter.
It goes 4 miles an hour.
He taunted me with the scooter, and he knew he owed me more money on it.
I have another girlfriend that lives in the neighborhood, and they're all jealous of her, and they just want me out of there now.
Well, he's been evicted from the park, and all of the people are very happy that he's no longer there.
That defendant has definitely watched you before. He knew he had no proof, and he knew he was going home because of it. But, I mean, I guess at least be honest. When you come in, he knew he didn't have it, but...
what do I have? Got nothing.
Yeah, at least he knew it was hearsay, and he knew you weren't hearing it.
I actually thought he was pretty sharp.
Yeah, but I think, she was adequately paid, and he did work. She didn't like it, hire a professional.
Yeah, well, you put in a used dishwasher in the work that he created. So he really more than paid for it.
Yeah.
There's something else there. There's some other annoyance there. I'm not exactly sure what it is between the two of them.
You don't want to know.
And I don't. Yes.
Case 30.
Novice Sr. is suing his son, Marvin Novice Jr., for bail and attorney fees after his son was arrested.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3087, Naves versus Naves.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How old are you, Mr. Naves?
25.
How long have you been living at home with your mother and father?
All my life.
Are you still living there?
Not right now at the moment, no.
Where are you living?
With my grandma in Van Nuys.
And you left because you had a disagreement with your father.
A huge argument, yes, ma'am.
Some time ago, you're going to tell me the date, police stopped you in your car, correct?
Correct.
On what date was that?
About 2 years ago, Super Bowl Sunday, on February 14th.
On Valentine's Day,
I believe so, ma'am.
2022.
2022, yes.
And you were stopped because, according to what I read, you were smoking, but you must have been smoking something other than cigarettes.
Marijuana, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. In what state do you live?
California.
Was smoking marijuana in a car? You were the driver of the car, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Is that illegal in the state of California?
I believe so.
I would say so, just like you can't have a bottle of vodka and drinking it while you're driving. And when the police stopped you for committing a crime, which endangered a lot of people because, when you're not totally together, you're not supposed to be driving a car, they found 2 handguns.
Correct.
Who else was in the car? It's not funny. I happen to not think it's funny. I know that you think it's funny, but it's not funny.
I mean, I got off scot-free, so I'm not facing 10 years.
How many other people were in the car?
I believe 4 other people had a full car.
You know how many other people were in the car. You were driving.
I just said 4, ma'am.
4 others.
Yeah, full car.
And where were the guns found, sir?
I don't know. I was not the police, so.
No, but you were in the car. Don't be a wise guy with me, because I eat people like you for breakfast. I don't think you're either cute or accomplished. You're neither cute or accomplished.
I know I'm
At
cute.
age 25, you don't live on your own. You either live with your mother or your father. Then when they throw you out, you go and live with your grandmother. I neither think that you're cute or accomplished. Maybe young girls do. I'm an old lady. I fail to see your attractiveness, and I fail to see how any of this is funny.
You ever see my smile, man? It's pretty attractive.
It depends. Let me ask around. You find that attractive? No. Whitney, you're younger than I am, a little bit older than Sarah. You find that attractive?
They want to keep their job.
It's not only not attractive, but when your grandmother watches that, she's going to think you're a fool, along with a lot of other people. And it's going to be my joy, my absolute joy, to fill in the blanks. So you don't know where the 2 other guns were found, and everything got thrown out. So now you have no adult criminal record.
Correct.
Did you have a juvenile criminal record? Answer the question. Did you have a juvie record? Of course you did. You know everything. Wise guys like you always have a juvie record. So when they booked you, they put you in jail. Now, as a juvie, you had been taken into custody before, but I don't think that you had been put in an adult kind of situation, in an adult facility. So let me ask you a question. Did you call your girlfriend?
Nope.
Did you call your priest?
Nope.
Did you call your family physician?
Nope.
Yeah, I'll assume, for the record, Whitney, I'm going to assume that this accomplished 25-year-old who lives under the auspices of his parents or his grandma doesn't know how to say no, or no, ma'am, or no, Your Honor. He says no. I assume, sir, that you are not a graduate of any university.
Nope.
No. See. So you didn't call any of those people. Who? They gave you a phone call. Who did you call?
I called my dad, tell him to get me out.
Just a second. You called your dad. 24 years old, and I live with you. I was smoking in the car, and they called me over, and they're 2 guns, and I'm in jail now. Yeah. What did you call your father for?
To get me out.
Why?
It's his job to protect me, right? You have kids, ma'am?
What?
You have kids, ma'am?
5 and 13 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild. And I want to tell you something. This is one of them. And the last person they would call, any of them, if they got pulled over smoking a joint and there were guns found, the very last person that they would call is me. That's the very last person they would call. And they actually consider me a pretty good mother and grandmother. But they know you're going to act like a fool, call somebody else. So you called your daddy. You called your daddy. No, you called your daddy.
My father.
You called your daddy and you said, come and get me out. And he did. And he got you out. He paid a bail bondsman, which is what this case is about. You think this was going to be easy? Not easy. You don't mind my doing that to him, do you?
No, ma'am.
Great. Are you his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he your only son?
He's my only son.
He's your only son. I could tell. I could tell. It's nothing against you, but you can always tell when a little boy has been pampered by his mother and thinks that he's the cat's meow, even though he's unaccomplished. And he got you out, and he got you a lawyer. And that's what this case is about, Mr. Navas.
Yes, ma'am.
This is about the bail and the money that you spent on a lawyer.
That he spent.
Don't speak.
That he spent.
If you speak, unless I speak to you, sir, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
Sorry,
or I'm going to tell Kevin to put you in your seat.
Sorry, ma'am.
Very good. So when I speak to you, like I did before, you can answer me. Now I'm speaking to your daddy. You got a tax return.
Navas Sr. claims his son, Marvin Navas Jr., owes for the cost of bail and attorney fees after his son was arrested for illegal firearms.
Okay, so you are suing him for the $2,800 or whatever it was for the bail bondsman, and you also paid an attorney $14,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you paid this money to the lawyer and to the bail bondsman, what kind of work was your son doing?
Before that, he was working for a security company.
As a what?
In the warehouse.
So he was working at a minimum wage kind of job.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you knew that he didn't have $14,000 or $16,000. You knew that he didn't have that. And he's living with you instead of living on his own because he's not even earning enough money to have his own apartment or to pay for his own gas, electric, utilities, water, heat, air conditioning. So he's living in his room, in his old room.
Yes, ma'am.
Ultimately, the case was dismissed.
It's not completely dismissed, ma'am. The statute of limitation hasn't expired.
So is the case still pending?
Yes, because I have this email that...
Can I see what he's got?
Yes, ma'am.
So the case has not been dismissed?
No, ma'am.
The DA just hasn't filed on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, got it now. Okay, so I can't ask him anything else about these pending charges because right now his attorney's not here, and his attorney would not like for me to do that. Now, was your son still working in the warehouse when you had this incident with him that caused him to move out?
No, not when he moved out, ma'am. No.
Where was he working?
He wasn't. He got laid off.
When did he get laid off?
I gotta say, probably like August.
August of 2023?
2022.
22? Oh.
That's 23, actually. 23, actually.
Well, but this is interesting, sir.
That's all right.
Because you say in your complaint that the charges were fully dropped against him in March of 2023, but that's not so.
That's what I assume, ma'am.
Well, no, but there wasn't, not according to this letter.
No, the reason I got that email from the lawyer, ma'am, is because I reached out to her to ask her about the bail bond exoneration letter, because my name was on the bail bond, and then that's when she sent that email stating that.
Okay, so now I want you to tell me, sir, you see, the boy says that he never had an agreement with you.
Never did.
To pay. He never had an agreement with you to pay you back. And that what you did because he's your son and you're his father. And the reason that you threw him out of the house was that you came home from work one day. What kind of work do you do?
I'm in sales, ma'am.
That you came home from work one day, he was not working, and he was, according to you, according to your papers, he was lying on the couch and smoking marijuana.
Well,
that's what you say here.
Yeah, what happened, ma'am, is it was on a weekend. I was drinking a beer, and he went out. He left, came back, and he smelled like marijuana in front of me. And I said, then that's when I asked him, I go, if you got money to buy marijuana, how come you're not making me whole on this? You made some payments on this because when he filed his income taxes on the years before, we will keep his returns to put towards what he owned.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me that you had an agreement with him for when he got a refund on his taxes that he would give you that money?
He was making payments before.
He was making payments?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did he make in payments?
He made a total of about $2,500.
Can I see the document that you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay. This says that you did, in fact, make some payments to your father. Income tax return, and that was in April of 2023 that you did, in fact, make a payment to him of $1,222. Is that correct?
I believe so. If it says
Just
right
a second. I'm asking you a question, boy.
If it says right there, I don't recall that, so.
Okay. Do you recall that you got a refund on your taxes?
Maybe. It could have been a stimulus check. I don't know.
All right. Well, I can see I'm not getting anywhere with you because you're a moron. And what you really don't know, sir, is how to read the room. And, you know, sometimes people learn that when they're very young. Sarah learned how to read the room when she was 3. Doesn't require an education. It requires listening to what's going on around you. So if you listen to what I was asking you before, it's perfectly logical that your father might think that because you had money to go out and buy weed, you should be paying him. But in reality, he had no expectation of being repaid because he had either no job or a low-paying job. That's a perfectly reasonable thing for me to think as a parent. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But when I ask you, and I'm sure that you remember because we're not talking about something that happened 10 years ago, but a few months ago, you got a tax return, $1,200, and you gave it to your father. That's either a yes or a no. That's not I don't remember. I don't remember means that you're dull-witted. Are you dull-witted?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You're not dull-witted. You're a wise ass, but you're not dull-witted. Then you made several other payments. In April of 2022, you again gave your father $1,123. Does that sound familiar?
Nope.
No.
He could have typed that up yesterday.
He could have. Just a second. He could have. So what you're telling me is that you never made any payments to your father.
Not that I recall, ma'am.
No, that's not an I don't recall. That means
He's accusing his son, Marvin Navas Jr., for refusing to pay back bail money and attorney fees after his son was arrested.
Now, if you in fact made payments to him, you would know. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I did pay him some money when I could, when I was working, or when I got my tax return. You're a wise guy, but you're not dull-witted. So I want you to think hard. Don't give me I don't remember. Did you or did you not give your father your income tax refund in 2022 and 2023?
Yes.
Perfect. That's all we need to know. Now I know that you're just a wise guy, but you're not dull-witted. Okay. So actually, the junior.
Not a junior.
You are his junior. Your last name is Navas?
Navas.
Navas. Well, he's the senior here today. You're the junior.
If you say so, ma'am.
Yes, I do say so. And I have to tell you, sir, that but for the fact that your son has acknowledged that he turned over to you his income tax returns as partial payment for this lawyer, I would actually dismiss your case. I'm telling you, I would dismiss your case. Because you actually did what a parent is supposed to do when their ne'er-do-well kid acts like a moron, smokes dope in a car with 4 other morons, 2 of whom have guns. You know? But you don't want him to go to prison, and you've probably gone to pick him up at police stations before.
Yes, ma'am.
When he was young. Now he's getting older. The only thing that I can suggest to you is, despite the fact that your wife adores him, you know, he's her baby, you have to let him stand on his own because he's a wise guy. And somebody's going to hurt him one day.
And that's
somebody's going to hurt him one day.
Ooh. That's
yeah.
That's my
that kind
biggest
of
fear.
wise guy always gets himself into trouble. Always. But for these 2 payments, I would have dismissed your case. However, he did make 2 payments, which he acknowledges. So the debt is real. He acknowledges that it was a debt by making 2 payments. Do you have the bill from the lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Here's the bill. Here's the receipt. And this is what we paid.
May I see the bill for the bail bondsman?
Yes, ma'am. Here's the bill, and then this is the email that will correspond with the stuff for the lawyer. I got you an email that.
Is he living with your mother or your wife's mother?
My mother.
Your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
How does she feel about that?
She loves me.
Shh. I didn't ask you anything.
You know, she loves him. She's torn up.
Does she have anybody else living with her?
My brother.
Mm-hmm. And to the best of your knowledge, is your son working now?
No, I don't know. I haven't spoken to him since May. This is the first time I've seen him.
Are you currently employed?
I'm looking for work. No, I'm not employed right now. I'm looking for work.
Okay. Well, in case you find work, I'm entering a judgment on behalf of your father for $10,000, which is the court's legal limit. He paid the lawyer a minimum of $10,000, and he paid the bail bondsman. I would hope that your legal case ends well for you, sir.
Appreciate it, ma'am.
I do hope it ends well. And it seems to me that you have certain innate intelligence. If you waste it, it's your life that you're wasting, nobody else's. We're done here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't think it was fair. You know, my dad spent his own money. He paid the lawyer himself. He got the bail bonds himself. I just made one call when I was in jail.
I was very happy with it. I needed to have this foreclosure.
I believe he was my dad. It was obligations to, for his son to just get me out. I don't think I owe him a dime.
Well, if that's what he thinks. What can I do? All you can do is be a father.
He's not really a crier like that. So for him just to fake cry in front of the judge, I think it's ridiculous.
I just didn't want him to go and be in a situation that it'll be worse for him.
To be honest, I won't speak to him for a very long time. If we reconcile, but my focus is just my 3 girls, my mom, my 2 little sisters.
And hopefully our relationship can move on and get better.
I'm cute, but not going to jail, man.
It's just tough love, and I just got to learn that, deal with it as they come and be prepared.
Sometimes I take for granted the legalese and the elements that are in the background of my mind when we listen to litigants out here. Because I know for you and for me, as soon as we heard that he made just one payment, that's acknowledgement of the debt. And therefore, he knew it wasn't just his dad being the best dad in the world, getting him out of jail, but a loan and an acknowledgement of a debt if he paid one payment. He didn't know that. He thought that it was going to be great for him that he paid. I paid him. I gave him the money. The rest of it was just him being a good dad. So he didn't know which way to go. He didn't know which way was up or down. He didn't know what was good for him, bad for him. But
what I found interesting about that young man is he clearly intelligent.
Sure.
And he spoke too much out of turn, but he was clearly articulate. Life is a journey. It has a beginning, a middle, and unfortunately for everybody, it has an end. In between is your journey. Mm-hmm. And that is a wasted journey because he's just a wise guy. Yeah. And he's not taking advantage of these wonderful innate gifts that he has of being able to communicate and being nice looking and looking healthy. Just a waste. Yeah. And it's really too bad because the journey is finite. What you do with it is yours. 2 brothers fighting with each other. And you went upstairs and retrieved your gun.
To use it in self-defense if he was going to choke me again.
That never happened.
I had been choked 3 times.
When he was pointing a gun at me and my son, I had to put him behind me just in case he decided to fire a shot off.
Really? This child was there.
This is Judy Justice. Shay McNulty and Amanda Warren are suing Shay's brother, Desmond Fairbanks, for lost wages, hotel bills, and injuries from an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3091, McNulty-Warner versus Fairbanks.
Got it. Mr. McNulty, this is your brother?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your fiance?
Correct.
And the 2 of you were living in your grandfather's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was also your grandfather?
Yes, ma'am.
Also living in the house was your son?
No, we had not moved in at that moment.
But you were planning on moving in with your son?
Yes, ma'am.
An incident occurred when you came to the house.
Yes.
And your brother and Miss Warren were there. And there was an altercation on May 8th of last year. Mr. McNulty, you work as a security guard?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're licensed to carry a gun?
I have a CCW, concealed carry weapons license.
And how long have you had that?
Over 1.5 years as of today.
I'm going to do a general picture. You came with your son?
Yes.
I don't know whether to look at the room that you were going to move into. The 2 of you have a history of not getting along, or just...
We just don't talk. I don't really associate with them anymore.
Well, prior to May 8th, you didn't associate with them either.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to tell me what happened when your brother arrived with his son.
Well, when they got there on May 8th, it was about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Did you know that they were moving in?
We found out 2 weeks prior. It was brought to our attention, but there was no specific date.
Okay, so who told you?
He notified us first via face-to-face conversation while he was at the house the previous day prior to the incident taking place.
So you knew they were coming. And on May 8th, they arrived in the morning.
Yes.
And your fiance was less than pleased that they were there.
Yes.
Okay. And is there any particular reason why your fiance was less than pleased that your brother was coming to his grandfather's house?
Just because of the comment that she made that people show up unannounced without us knowing or surprising us.
It's not her house.
I understand. No, she was just upset that he showed up. And then that's when she had made the comment that people show up unannounced, and that was what started the events.
Yeah. She should probably butt out of business that doesn't involve her. Does your fiancée work?
Yes, she does.
Does she contribute to the household? In what way
Yes.
does she contribute?
We were paying the utilities for the house. That was it, because the house is paid off.
But your grandfather lives there, does he not?
Yes, he does.
He doesn't charge you rent?
No, he only said pay half the utilities. And
Okay,
that was
so
all
he
required.
doesn't charge you rent. You'd have to pay all the utilities if you lived someplace else.
Yes, correct.
So there's an altercation on May 8th because your fiance starts up with your brother, who clearly you knew was coming 2 weeks before.
Yes, 2 weeks, yes.
And you're going to tell me about this combat that took place. But at some point, you left this place where you were all fighting with each other, and you went upstairs and retrieved your gun.
Yes, my firearm out of the safe.
And when you came downstairs, the police were there.
Not at the time, Your Honor.
What did you do with the gun when you came downstairs with the gun? You retrieved the gun.
Yes, Your Honor.
You went downstairs, and what was your intention to do with the gun?
At that time, my intention was to use it in self-defense if he was going to choke me again. I had been choked 3 times.
Now, you've extricated yourself from this situation. You managed to go upstairs. You could also go outside.
Yes.
You could go anywhere, but you went upstairs to get a gun.
Yes.
To bring downstairs. And you weren't in danger when you were upstairs, right?
Correct.
So then you come downstairs, police arrive, and they arrest you.
Yes.
And they arrest you on what charges?
The original 3 charges were assault, domestic violence, and aggravated menacing.
Did you point the gun at your brother?
After he tried
Just a second.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have to understand.
Yes, Your Honor.
Once you're able to withdraw from a situation that clearly was precipitated by her, but you're able to withdraw from it, you can't go someplace else and get a gun and come down and shoot him or menace him because you have an alternative. And your alternative is you're safe. You're upstairs. Lock yourself in a bathroom. Go out the back door. You subsequently pled guilty. You got a deal. They gave you, according to you, a disorderly conduct.
Yes, Your Honor.
As a result of the same incident. I don't care what you pled guilty to. You pled guilty. And now you're suing him for the following. Hotel bills, because you and your fiance had to move out of your grandfather's house where you weren't paying rent. That's part of your lawsuit.
Yes.
That's dismissed. Lost wages. Well, you had lost wages because you work as a security guard. In order to work as a security guard, you need a gun, correct?
No, I'm unarmed.
Really?
Yes, I'm unarmed.
So what did you need a gun for?
Shay McNulty and Amanda Warren claim Shay's brother, Desmond Fairbanks, owes for injuries resulting from an assault. Desmond is countersuing, saying he was assaulted by Shay.
So what did you need a gun for?
At that time, after I was choked 3 times, it was in case I needed it. I had retreated back into the house to get away from him, and he followed me the third time.
No. I thought you needed the gun for your job because you're also suing for lost wages.
No, the gun has nothing to do with my job. I'm unarmed security for the state of Ohio.
Okay, so then what did he have to do with you being out of work for 5 months?
Because he called my boss and told him, and I also have a statement from my boss saying that he did receive a call from him, and because he did call him, that he has to suspend me without pay.
Because you brandished a gun.
No, it was just because of the fact.
No, he told your boss that you had brandished a gun.
I don't know if he told him that.
Well, why do you think you were suspended from your job?
Because he called them to make them aware of the situation, and because I am a security officer, I have a guard card. The Homeland Security suspended it because I was away from work. He had called my boss and spoke to him directly.
That's all right. He's allowed to do that. You pled guilty. If you pled guilty to disorderly conduct, you pled guilty to being the aggressor. Whether it was an assault or an attempted assault, a battery, you pled guilty. That's the same thing as being found guilty by a jury. He's allowed to call your boss and say, you don't want this guy around. He's got a gun. And he came downstairs and he was brandishing the gun, threatening me, menacing me. And I had a child there with me, a 5-year-old child. His child was there, right?
His child was outside.
His child was there.
Off of the property. But yes, he was there.
Well, of course.
He was off of the property.
What do you mean off the property? He was in somebody else's house?
No, he was outside sitting on the tailgate on the street in the truck, in the back of the truck bed. He wasn't on the property when this incident happened. He wasn't around to...
You mean he was alone by himself?
Yes.
Out there, 5 years old?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor, that's not correct. When he was pointing a gun at me and my son, I had to put him behind me just in case he decided to fire a shot off.
Where were you when he pointed the gun?
On our back porch steps.
Outside?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you both on the back porch?
Myself, my son, him, and Amanda were all on the back steps at that moment. He had the gun.
Okay, so he's allowed to call your boss. I don't think that you should have a gun anyway. If you think that you had the right under these circumstances to go up, get it, come down, and brandish it. Okay, lost wages he doesn't owe you. If you got suspended from your job, if you got fired from your job, so be it. Hotel bills. Why do you think he should pay your hotel bills? I'll get to the incident in a second, maybe. Why do you think he should pay your hotel bills?
Because we were essentially illegally thrown out. We didn't receive any type of notice, and there was a protective
It's not
order.
his house, it's your grandfather's house. Why don't you sue your grandfather?
If my grandfather wasn't there to witness
It doesn't make any difference. He can't throw you out of the house. Only your grandfather can throw you out. Did your grandfather throw you out?
No, he didn't throw me out, but my mother was the one who told her while I was in jail that she didn't want us living there, but she doesn't live there. She gets the house when my grandfather passes away.
She is the daughter of your grandfather. So she told you on your grandfather's behalf to get out of the house. What are you suing him for? He can't tell you to get out of the house. Only the owner can tell you to get out of the house. And the fact that he doesn't have to give you any notice, he doesn't own it. You get it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hotel bills. You have to start taking care of yourself. What kind of work do you do other than security guard?
Yeah, I had to start up a small business while I was doing this to supplement my income.
Good. And what does your girlfriend do?
She works customer service.
Where?
At a retail store, big box store.
Okay, so you have enough money to pay rent someplace, to go find someplace, pay rent, and live like two adults. How old are you?
I'm 36, Your Honor.
And you?
36.
Well, then, live like grown-ups. Don't live in your grandfather's house. Go pay rent.
We moved there to help his grandfather because he's 86 years old. He needed help around the house.
Well, evidently not anymore.
He just asked us to move in. I moved her out of her house into his house, and we moved in. He just said that...
When? How long?
This was February 12th of 2023.
Okay, so you moved in February.
We were there
and you
for
were
a total
told to
of
leave.
3 months.
What?
We were there for, I believe, a total of 3 months, from February to May.
Okay, so you have to find yourself a place to live. Actual damages for assault. Now, you pled guilty, so I'm not interested in whatever assault took place. You pled guilty to being the aggressor in this incident. Are you claiming that you were assaulted as a result of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now tell me exactly, in your words, how the defendant assaulted you.
He had Mr. McNulty in a chokehold.
Just a second. That's not how it started. It started because you said to him...
I made a comment under my breath. People like to show up unannounced. He didn't like what I had to say.
What did he say to you?
He got in my face and said, "What did you say? What the hell did you say? I want to hear what you have to say." And that's when Mr. McNulty stepped in between us, put his arms out and said, "Hey, don't talk to her like that. Just go in the house. Just go in the house. She wasn't talking to you."
You were talking to him. You were talking to him.
Not directly. Not directly.
You were nasty.
But at that point, Mr. Fairbanks pushed him down the step. They got into a physical altercation.
When you said that your fiancé separated you, explain to me exactly how that happened.
So Mr. Fairbanks was standing in front of me. Mr. McNulty jumped in between us and put his arms out and said, "Hey, that's enough. Don't talk to her like that."
Okay, put his hands out. Didn't touch anybody.
No.
Okay, and then what happened?
And then Mr. Fairbanks laid his hands on Mr. McNulty first and pushed him down the step.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor, it's not correct.
Okay, we're not talking about his assault, okay? He pled guilty to whatever happened that day. I want to hear how he assaulted you.
I'm getting to that.
Well, get there.
So he had attacked Mr. McNulty from behind and got him in a chokehold, kind of blindsided him. So at that point, I was like, okay, what do I do? I had to pull Mr. Fairbanks off of Mr. McNulty.
How did you do that?
I was on the phone with 911. kind of got my arm around him.
Got your arm around his what?
His face. I was trying to pull him off of Mr. McNulty.
Use your fiance as an example of how you tried to pull him off. Show me on him.
So he was on top of Mr. McNulty. He had his back to me. So I, came up and tried to pull him off.
You put your arm around his neck?
Not his neck.
On his what?
Like right here, right in this area. I didn't put it around his neck.
Okay.
At that point, he turned around, pushed me in the face, and pushed me down the back porch stairs.
And?
Which resulted in me going to the hospital. I was 8 months out of an ACL reconstruction at that point. And when I hit the ground, the impact from hitting the ground damaged that knee that I had just had fixed.
Did you put your hands on him first?
Shay McNulty and Amanda Warren are accusing Shay's brother, Desmond Fairbanks, of owing for injuries resulting from an assault. Desmond is countersuing, claiming he was the one assaulted.
Did you put your hands on him first?
To pull him off, yes.
I don't care what you did. Did you put your hands on him first? He had two brothers fighting with each other.
We're not fighting. He was choking him.
Okay. And you put your hands on him first?
To get him off, yes.
Okay. And he pushed you off?
He threw me down the stairs.
Well, you got your hands around him. I want you to explain to me how he threw you down the stairs.
He let go of Mr. McNulty, stood up, turned around, put his hand in my face, and threw me down the stairs.
Okay. Now I'd like to see your hospital records.
I have private insurance.
No. Hospital records. This happened on May 8th, so I want to see your records from May 8th. That hospital record. Yeah, they gave you Tylenol.
They did a lot of x-rays.
They gave you Tylenol.
Yeah, but if you look in the description, it says that there's possible loosening of an ACL screw.
I have no idea, madam. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your counterclaim is for assault and actually menacing. You say threatening the life of myself and my son. You actually mean menacing with a gun. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I would like you to tell me how you were assaulted and what your injuries were.
Assaulted by Mr. McNulty, and I was defending myself against him, walking through the gates with my child right behind me. She did make a comment under her breath. I guess anyone can just show up unannounced. I did not get in her face at that point. Mr. McNulty pretty much got in my face, started pushing me away. There was no type of trying to separate us. That never happened, trying to separate us. We went straight into fighting with each other. Tried to defend myself because my son was directly behind me. I didn't want him getting hurt, try to keep myself protected. So I did everything I could to make that happen.
Do you have any injuries as a result of that?
Yes, Your Honor, I did receive a busted lip, a couple of scratches on my neck.
Do you have any
arms.
photographs?
Yes,
And you have
I do,
a police
Your Honor.
report. I'd like to see it. How did you get the busted lip?
Busted lip was from Mr. McNulty when he did punch me in the face.
Do you have any photographs of your injuries, sir?
Your Honor, I did not have any injuries because I was simply...
Just a second, I'm just asking you.
No, I do not, Your
You
Honor.
do not?
I do not have any injuries.
Yeah. Your son wasn't injured, was he?
Thankfully, he was not. I did my best to keep him behind me as much as possible.
Did you have to hire a lawyer, sir? Did you hire a lawyer to defend you in this proceeding, this criminal proceeding?
Yes.
Where you pled guilty?
Yes, I did have a lawyer.
Did you have a public defender or did you hire a lawyer?
I had a personal lawyer.
And how much did you pay him?
It was free. I pay a membership for a gun lawyer. They protect you against gun thefts. It's a program for gun advocates. They hire a lawyer. You get up to a $50,000 bail if you go to jail and a firearm or something like that is involved.
Who hit you?
Physically punched me, Mr. McNulty. All the scratches came from Miss Warren.
Are you still living at your grandfather's house?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Where does your mother live?
My mother lives in her house.
You live there with your son?
My son comes and goes between me and his mother.
How is your grandfather?
Grandfather's doing pretty well. He still goes to work every single day, takes care of himself.
What kind of work does he do?
He is a retired mechanic, and now in his free time, he works across the street at the cemetery. He likes to keep it going.
Got it. Okay. Mr. McNulty, Miss Warren, your claim against the defendant for money owed for lost wages, hotel bills, and assault is dismissed in its entirety.
I have photos of my injuries.
I
as
don't
well.
care.
And I had to have a knee replacement as a result of him throwing.
Get me an expert. You can tell that story to somebody else.
I have pictures of the knee replacement.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, ma'am.
You get an expert here. You don't get $10,000 because you say, I had to have a knee replacement. How do I know that you had to have a knee replacement? You had a pre-existing injury. And you precipitated this whole thing, and you put your hands on him first. You put your hands on him first.
What is someone supposed to do when someone's being choked?
I don't know. But if you put your hands on him first, he's going to react to you. He's going to react to you. And he had no physical injury. Zero, according to him. So you put your hands on him first. If he turns around and shoves you down the stairs, well, that's what happens when you put your hands on somebody. Somebody gets the short end of the stick in an assault. And just because you may have gotten the short end of the stick doesn't give you the right to put your hands on him. Aside from the fact that your big mouth started this whole thing between the two brothers anyway. Judgment on the counterclaim for $5,000 for both the assault, which I see pictures of, and for menacing with the gun. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I think it was very unfair, and I think that my brother essentially lied and did not tell the complete truth.
She kind of came up with a story on her own, and she saw the truth, and that's all that matters.
Once he came down and did not present himself as a threat, the firearm was set down and pointed to the side. Yes, I did point it at him, but that was when he was still showing signs of aggression and trying to force himself back into the house. It was then pointed at him and let him know that the door was locked for his safety and ours, and if he comes in and continues to aggress towards me, I would shoot him in self-defense.
Looking down the barrel of a gun, having that gun pointed at my son's face, definitely did not want him to go through that. I definitely didn't want to go through that, and I hope he can definitely forget that and never remember this day at all.
If he was going to continue to harm me and cause me to fear for my life, yes. At that point in time, it doesn't matter related or not. If you cause me to fear for my life, yes. In self-defense, I have that right, and I oblige by it.
Just glad we could put this behind us now.
He had him in a rear chokehold. I mean, you don't walk up behind somebody and choke them just for giggles, you know what I mean?
It didn't happen how she said it did.
I still don't associate with them or my mother as well. If anything, we're actually going to grow further apart, and I'm perfectly okay with that, and my life's going to continue on, and business as usual.
It's time to go separate ways.
So something so interesting was that in his papers, it said that he had pled guilty, and there wasn't much discussion about him hiring a lawyer, or like you said, whether he had a public defender. I've never heard of a club to be a part of to keep lawyers on retainer solely for the purpose of firearm charges and people with firearms getting into trouble to get them out of it. But apparently it must have worked because he got his gun back the next day or a few...
No. He got his gun back after he pled guilty, which took 5 months.
Yeah, no, after he had pled guilty.
After he pled guilty.
Very quickly was he returned his gun.
Because he pled guilty to a misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
If he had had a felony,
yeah,
he wouldn't have been able to get his gun back.
But that's an interesting setup for gun owners and gun enthusiasts.
Yeah, I never heard of it before.
Me neither.
They have somebody that you pay in, probably pay him $50 a month, and it's a whole club, and everybody pays him, and hopefully he doesn't get tapped too often. You find out something new every day. Concierge gun lawyer. Interesting.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are suing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, for wedding costs and vandalism to Noe's car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3108, Gonzalez Ramirez versus Cortez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're Miss Gonzalez.
Yes, I am.
This is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your daughter and Mr. Cortez were engaged to be married.
That's correct.
How old is your daughter?
She's 28.
And you, sir?
27.
How did you meet?
We had met on a dating app back in October 2020.
Okay. And when did you become engaged?
It was sometime in 2022. It might have been around April.
Did you give her a ring?
I did.
Your Honor, they were engaged in September 2022.
Did it sound better?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Miss Gonzalez, it is your claim that wedding plans started to be made, you were paying for the wedding, and he broke off the wedding and broke off the marriage, future marriage, and you believe he is responsible for the non-refundable deposits that you put down on venue and maybe music, flowers, I don't know what. And that's part of your claim. You, sir, are her son, her brother, and it is your claim that Mr. Cortez vandalized your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cortez denies that he vandalized your car. So I will hear your proof with regard to that. Mr. Cortez says that there is some property. Your harassment allegations don't reach the level of harassment, sir, but you claim that they have certain property that belongs to you.
Yes, and I do have a text message from Kristen Ramirez stating to one of my friends that she has my property and has refused to give it.
Oh, so that will make my job much easier when I get to your counterclaim. Okay, so Ms. Gonzalez, you started to plan a wedding.
What happened was they came in and they spoke to Kristen's father and myself. They announced their engagement. And so we congratulated them. We said we would pay for the majority of the cost, but that we did have some things that we wanted them to pay for.
That's okay.
So at the time, I wasn't too familiar with Michael. And so just as precaution, I did ask him if he would be okay if he broke off the engagement, that he would reimburse for the venue, because the venue is something that is not always reimbursed.
Did you ever have that discussion with her?
No.
I can't tell you how many weddings that I've made, Miss Gonzalez. Children, grandchildren, made and paid for. I have never had that discussion with any of the future spouses. If you break it off, you have to reimburse me for down payments.
It was
I never.
Just the way that he was acting, it made me feel like I needed that reinsurance.
I don't believe you, actually, at all. Because if I, as a mother, you have 2 children?
Yes, I do.
If you have 2 children, if I had certain reluctance about either the character or the commitment that one of my children's future mates have, it wouldn't be about returning my money. I would sit down with my daughter and say, you know, I'm not getting a great feeling about this guy. I have a feeling he's going to slip. And if I had a feeling I was going to slip, and if you wanted to extract that promise to him, you should have put it in writing. Right. Because it doesn't make sense to me, based upon my own personal experience, that that's not the way a new marriage starts with, by the way, if it doesn't work out, you're going to pay me back for this, right?
Right. Well, my means are limited, so.
And so are his.
Yeah. And so what we did was we had an agreement. We asked.
Just a second, show me.
We
show
had
me.
a verbal.
Just show me. Well, I'm telling you, I don't buy it. But I'm going to listen to him.
Okay.
And I'm going to listen to any proof that you have.
Okay.
See any proof that you have where he committed to paying for the wedding in the event that he broke up the engagement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? She just told me that you said to her at some point, I will pay for your non-refundable stuff if something happens. Tell me your version of it.
So what she said is not true. What happened was on the night of October 1st, I had gone to her house to speak with Kristen, my girlfriend at the time. I wanted to talk to her about a prenup. My witness here.
Just a second. You wanted to talk to her about a prenup. Why?
Earlier in the year, Kristen made demands towards me saying she wanted to buy a house, but she only had $200 in her savings account and I had $40,000. So she was expecting me to make the down payment. And at the time I had savings, I had 2 cars, I have a master's degree. She was kind of expecting me to provide for her. And at the time I did not feel that was fair.
You mean that you were going to use your cash to buy a house?
Yes.
That was going to be in both your names?
Yes.
And you wanted a prenup so that you would get whatever you put into the house out of it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, because at the time she was pretty much telling me where we had to buy the house. It had to be within a certain...
Just a second. Would you sit down a minute and let your sister stand up?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're Kristen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Kristen, I want you to tell me about this house business. You had no money.
I don't have savings, but I had a job.
But you don't have money. You don't have savings. He had savings. You were living with your parents. You discussed with him buying a house?
We did in the future. It wasn't about buying a house. We had to have some form of living situation when we get married. That was the expectation. And that's what my mom discussed with him too, was that it wasn't him needing to buy a house then and there and in a certain area. We just needed to be able to live somewhere because we're getting married. How are we going to live in like our
Well, you work, you just told me, and he works. So you find an apartment, and you each contribute to the rent and the expenses.
Yeah.
Is that what was the intention?
Yeah, and we're both on the lease agreement, and I did pay half, or I paid as much as I could.
Did you live together?
We lived together, and then my brother also offered to be on to kind of help with costs too. So it was
kind of help with costs. You mean he lived there?
He also took up the spare bedroom.
Well, that would be a yes. He lived there.
Yeah.
So I have a copy of the lease. It's myself, Maria Gonzalez, and Kristen Ramirez. At the time,
okay, so you're on the lease.
Yes, I co-signed for him because he was hesitant in getting and securing a housing. We had less than 2 months, Your Honor, for the wedding, and I was very truthful with him, and I told him, you cannot live in our house. You need to secure housing. That was our agreement in the beginning, that you would be responsible for housing. I never said anything about buying a house or anything. It's just
you got a butt out of your children's business. You have a 28-year-old daughter. What are you giving him instructions for?
Because, Your Honor, he wasn't doing anything. He had a room.
Well, but that's up to her.
Right.
That's not up to you. I mean, your daughter's almost 30. Why is that up to you when she's got a fiance? She's got to figure out what she's going to do with him. What did you have to do with that?
When we were discussing the wedding, we did say these were the expectations. You were to have a place for them to stay. It didn't matter where they were going to stay. I never said anything about you have to buy a house or you need to get an apartment or anything. It's just a stable place.
What other expectations did you indicate to him that you were expecting?
That he pay for the wedding license and that he pay for his clothing. That's the only thing that we asked.
You mean for the license and for his clothing for the wedding?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. He left a note.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, claim Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, owes for wedding costs. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, you were telling me a story, and let's get to it rather quickly, because what day is it today, Wednesday? Wednesday. Something about sushi for lunch on Wednesday. So you went to the house to discuss a prenup.
Yes.
And what happened?
Originally, at the time, me and Kristen agreed that we wanted to do a prenup, and this was something that she discussed between myself and my dad a year ago. At the time, Kristen was the one who wanted the prenup.
Because she was going to inherit a house?
Yes.
What house were you going to inherit?
I just want to correct that I did not discuss a prenup with his father when we discussed the
No, you discussed it just the two of you.
It was between us and my therapist.
There was a breakup, Your Honor, in February, and it was between them.
Okay, we're going to forget about these wedding costs. I could see the handwriting on the wall a long time ago. You should have too. Would you tell me? Forget it. Not happening.
I do have messages that he was offering his Mercedes for payment reimbursement for the wedding.
Okay,
I do have.
I'll take a look at that. Would you mind telling me what happened when you went to the house to talk about the prenup? That's what you were in the middle of.
Yes. So we had discussed about wanting to do a prenup, and we agreed. And then about 20 minutes later, the mom came in to the apartment, started blowing up on me, saying, "How dare I make her daughter work? How dare I make her daughter pay rent? How dare I force her to sign a prenup?"
Okay. Kristen, you remember that discussion?
It was not.
Do you remember the discussion?
Yes.
All right. Just answer my question. These very easy.
Okay.
Things are common sense. You were having a discussion with him about a prenup. Originally, you wanted a prenup because of an inheritance that you anticipated. What inheritance did you anticipate?
I anticipated my father giving me a house.
And is that what started the prenup discussion?
No.
Did you ever discuss that with him?
No, not till that night.
I'm talking about that night. Do you remember that discussion?
Yes.
Did your mother come in during the course of that discussion at any time?
We went to his apartment, to our shared apartment.
Who went?
She came in. Me and my mother. He had left our house to the apartment.
So he went to the apartment, and you and your mother went to the apartment. And do you recall what your mother was indicating to Mr. Cortez as regard to the expectations she had, or the two of you had, with regard to what he was going to do to take care of you?
Yes.
And what did your mother say?
She sat him down and she said that the way he had been acting up until this time was not acceptable. That it was originally stated that if he was having cold feet, we gave him multiple times if he wanted to postpone the wedding, that he could. And he kept saying, no, I want to keep going with the wedding date, even after we had broken up and he wanted to come back. And my mom reiterated to him that he was supposed to pay for the venue if he forfeited the wedding. And she was discussing with him the verbal abuse that she witnessed leading up to this event, because he knows I have really bad anxiety, and that she did not like seeing him use that against me when it came to me driving, when it came to me trying to find a better job, when it came to like trying to provide for the family. I tried my best as much as I could. And that's what she discussed with him on that night. It had nothing to do with all these expectations. It was just, I needed help being able to speak for myself, because like, I don't know if you can see I'm shaking. Like, I need help sometimes in order to help myself. And that's what she was here for.
He wasn't buying it. Do you understand? It's too bad. You said you had proof in writing that he somehow, someplace agreed to pay for the deposits that you had. I'd like to see what proof you have of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Just show me.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't show me anything other than that. Just show me that.
Yes, ma'am. Now, the first one is
Just a second. Who wrote this?
Michael Cortez.
He wrote it?
Yes, and he
Okay.
left it in my mailbox.
October 13th, 2020, I paid for the down payment for a home for me and Kristen. Both names on it. I would be putting down 40 to 50K. If we have kids, it'll go to them. To compensate for the wedding, I would be willing to financially support Kristen if she needs to focus on herself. Whether it's bills or rent, I would be willing to help. In addition, I would pay for a new wedding. I don't know what that means.
Your Honor, I never wrote that letter.
This?
Correct. I never wrote it or signed any letters.
He placed that in my mailbox.
Kevin, would you go over this? Give him this pen, and I want you to write the following. I don't want to throw away. Okay, that's all. Yeah, he wrote it. Well, this is a very nice letter. I don't know why you would deny writing this letter. This is a very nice thing. He does not say he's going to pay for a wedding.
He said he would pay for another wedding.
No, a new wedding.
On the text messages that he sent.
Just a second.
Yes.
Now I'm going to read the text message. This is nothing except a very nice letter from him. No, doesn't say here that he's going to pay for a wedding. He wants to make it work out. He would love that so much. I can offer my Mercedes since the front bumper is fixed and valued at $10,000. I would be willing to do couples therapy with Kristen, pay her bills, and do everything I can to make it right, only if this is what Kristen wants. I'll even sign contracts so we are all on the same page, but I understand you don't want me in her life. And if she feels the same way, I want my pictures taken down tonight. So this does not support your argument. If you're not going back to me because of the money, I can give you the Benz. It's worth $10,000. What's that about?
I'm not too sure, Your Honor.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
These emails suggest to me that you were very much in love with the plaintiff's daughter.
Yes.
And you wanted to make it work.
Yes.
And how did it not work? What happened?
The night of October 1st, when the mom blew up on me, she made all these threats towards me about legal action, physical harassment.
And is that when the wedding was called off?
Yes.
He says that I threatened him. I did not threaten him.
Whether you threatened him or not, you went there with your daughter.
I did.
And at that point, after this discussion, after these emails, which I see, and because he clearly felt strongly for your daughter, that's when the wedding was called off.
Yes.
Well, he didn't walk away.
Yes, he did.
I don't think
left
so.
that.
Yeah.
He left that day, that night after our discussion. He took everything out of the apartment and he left, Your Honor.
Okay.
He left a note that said, "I'm sorry," with his wedding ring on the pillow on the bed.
Fine. I would too. Don't get involved if your daughter's getting married, and I wouldn't do it if your son's getting married either. It's none of your business. Stay out of it. Keep your nose out of it. You can sit down now. Stand up. Noe.
Yes.
You were living in the apartment with Mr. Cortez that your mother co-signed for when your sister was supposed to get married and blah, 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 blah. You went to live with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that something happened to your car. On what date did something happen to your car?
It was the 27th of November.
Of October, November.
If you don't speak, that's your problem. You get too much involved in your adult children's business.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are accusing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, of refusing to pay for deposits after their wedding was canceled. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, November 27th.
Yes, Your Honor.
When had you seen your car prior to seeing it damaged?
That morning. I have pictures right here, if you'd like to see them.
I would, but first tell me what the nature of the damage was.
It was you scratched into the trunk of my car, and my back right tire was slashed.
And what evidence do you have that the defendant had anything to do with that?
We don't make enemies. Like, we don't have enemies. He's the only person.
Is what you're telling me you have no evidence to support your accusation that he keyed your car?
We do not have video footage, no.
I didn't ask you for video footage. I asked you for any evidence. Somebody saw it. He admitted it.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, well, then you don't have the case. You understand that, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did he owe you $1,000 for?
The $1,000 was for the damage to the car.
Did he ever acknowledge that he would give you $1,000?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, then he doesn't owe you anything. Okay, I can deal with that quickly. I have a counterclaim. The counterclaim says that they have property of yours. What property do they have?
Kristen Ramirez had sent a text message to one of my friends claiming that she has my property. I don't know exactly what all she has. She's refused to talk to me.
Just a second.
Yes.
You can sit because your case is dismissed. You actually understand that because you have no proof that he caused any damage to your car. Kristen, stand up, please. Before I take a look at the text that he has, what property, if any, do you have that belongs to him? Is not an answer. Let's go. What property do you have that belongs to him?
I believe he left a birth certificate at my house.
Where is it?
It was in the safe in my room.
So you have his birth certificate. What else?
I'm not too sure what else he left in there. He's the one that put them in the safe.
He says he has a list, which I will look at, that you sent to someone of items of his that you have. And I'm asking you, before I look at the list, what other items of his do you have?
Other than that, I have no idea. I haven't looked
Okay,
at
now
it.
I'll see the document that you're referring to. She's going to give you back your birth certificate.
Okay, I have it. It's going to be this message.
So far, I don't see what it is.
Right. It's not listed in there. She just acknowledges that she has my stuff. She kept it vague.
She's going to give you back your birth certificate. It's sort of misleading, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now we're going to get back to one other little thing that's gnawing at me before I finish this case. So with regard to your belongings, she's going to return to you within 5 days. Make sure it's sent and doesn't get lost in the mail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any paper she has that's in your safe, including your birth certificate. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, I just want to get to this Mercedes-Benz. What was the Mercedes-Benz that you were offering for, sir? I can turn over the Mercedes-Benz. I want you to tell me something that I can believe.
Your Honor, I'm not too sure. I do have a receipt from the wedding venue that I emailed. They said that even if she were to cancel, she is, they accommodate with rescheduling. So it's not like she's out of all her money.
But she's just got to find another groom.
I mean, she could always throw a birthday party.
No, she can have another groom. You still haven't given me something that I believe with regard to the Mercedes-Benz. You mentioned it several times.
To be honest, Your Honor, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, you know, I usually don't like to split the baby in half, but it seems to me as if that there is some evidence that you agreed to participate in the event that something happened with the venue. And I don't necessarily think that you are 100% responsible for the breakup of this relationship. I think there was a lot of problems and interference on both sides. How much was the venue, the non-refundable venue, cost?
$7,050.
Okay. Mr. Cortez,
yes.
While it's usually not my practice to leave anybody happy that comes into my courtroom, I like when everybody is miserable when they leave.
Yes, Your Honor.
But she had $7,000 worth of expenses as a result of this wedding, and I actually think that it's fair that you each pay half of that. So issuing an order for $3,500 for the plaintiff. She's going to return all of your papers and documents that she has. This case is now over.
This court is adjourned.
The mom made all these threats and harassments towards me, and that's exactly why I left the wedding.
He's not man enough to be my daughter's husband.
This is a woman that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and she let her mom ruin the relationship.
I feel that God gave us a blessing in removing this piece of trash out of our lives.
I want to move on with my life, so as long as I can get out of my hair, I'd be happy with that.
There is someone better for my daughter out there.
Tell you, that was very sad. Not legally sad. It was a socially sad case because I think he really legitimately cared for her. I mean, the letter that he wrote, and he clearly wrote it. I don't know why he would deny that he wrote it.
Did a little forensic testing out there of your own.
Yeah, you're right, a little forensic testing. I don't know that's particularly kosher, but it looked right. But it was a really kind letter.
Yeah.
He did, in fact, talk about the Mercedes. This was before he left. He said, I don't want there to be this fighting back and forth because evidently it was clear that this was not the first breakup that they had. And it was very sad, and she, I think, actually cared for him a great deal.
Yeah.
Mama.
Too many hands.
Mama got in the way. She was trying to be very protective of her daughter, who clearly has an issue or two. But she was clearly trying to be protective and...
Went a little overboard.
Listen, if I were a young guy, and he's actually a year younger, I think than his ex-fiancée, I would be worried about that lady being in my life on a permanent basis. Yeah.
Jessica Schleicher is suing her ex-boyfriend, Sam Branch, for unpaid rent and the costs of an eviction.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Hello, Kevin.
Case 3106, Shackler versus Branch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Schleicher.
Schleicher.
Okay. You and the defendant lived together for 25 years. Reason that you never married?
No.
Any reason?
Waiting for financial things to come together. And
that was quite a wait.
Yeah.
In any event, this 25-year relationship ended badly, and it is your claim that the defendant stayed in an apartment that you had lived in together. I believe your name was the only name on the lease, but you lived there as a couple together. For how many years?
I lived there since I was 6 years old. My parents were actually the ones on the lease, and when my father passed away in 2007, we moved back in. We were out in our own apartment, moved in, took over the rent.
Because the rent was more reasonable and the apartment probably
Definitely.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. And the breakup was an acrimonious one. And it is your claim that the defendant stayed in the apartment with one of your children?
Yes, my son.
And that he didn't pay rent in the apartment for several months. And because your name is on the lease, the landlord brought a case against you for the unpaid rent.
Correct.
That's primarily what you're suing for.
Primarily.
Because the other part, he's not responsible for. The part where you had to go find, and you went and found a more expensive apartment, well, one of you was going to find the more expensive apartment. Is this a rent-controlled or stabilized?
Yeah, the place that I was in, I was still grandfathered in at 2000.
Yeah, so it was a rent-stabilized, grandfathered, and you were there together, not you.
No.
The two of you for 25 years.
No, I was there with my family. He moved in with his son in 2007, but I was there with my brother and my parents since I was
just
little.
a second. I thought you were together for 25 years.
We were, but I was in that condo for 39 years, since I was 6.
How long did the two of you live together?
Since 2007, for 16 years.
But you were in a relationship before that, so you lived together in that apartment for 16 years.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me the day that you moved out of the apartment, when you had this argument.
May 30th was the first day that I left, and I stayed at my mom's house and in my car, and then went ahead and moved out and got my own place July 1st. So July 1st is when I removed all my belongings.
Had you stayed there at all in the month of June?
No.
Is that correct?
I think there might have been a week in June.
Well, if you think that she says no, she says no, and what you may be, she wasn't there. Your son was there?
Yes, he was.
All of June, you were there?
Yes, I was.
So you were there June. What about July? Were you there in July?
Yes, I was.
What about August?
Yes, I was.
What about September?
Yes, I was.
October?
Yes, I was.
When did you move out?
I moved out in December.
December what?
I believe it was around the 15th.
So you were there the month of December, because you don't do half months. You were there the month of December. When was the last month that you paid rent?
I was paid up until September 1st, so it was August.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 months rent that you didn't pay.
Right.
Why?
Well, when Jessica moved out, the property management came to me with 3 weeks to go in the month, saying that they were going to raise the rent $750.
Because you are no longer grandfathered in under her parents or grandparents or whoever lived there. So they were going to raise your rent $750.
Yes.
And they were going to raise it starting what date?
September 1st.
So you said, I'm not paying the increase.
No, that's not correct.
So you just didn't pay anything?
No.
Well, that's what I said. When was the last time you paid rent? You said September 1st. So I'm just curious. If he was going to raise your rent by $750, was going to make it $2,750, and you said, I'm not going to pay the increase.
No, I agreed to pay the increase. We filled out a new application.
Okay, great. So when did you start paying the increase?
We didn't pay the increase.
Okay, so you didn't pay rent, and I'm asking you why.
I had a heart attack.
You had a heart attack on what date?
August 20th.
When did you sign the new lease?
We didn't sign the new lease. We filled out an application. Yeah.
Okay. After your heart attack, on what date did you go back to work?
It was...
Careful, because it's very easy to verify.
3 weeks after.
So you went back to work sometime in September?
Yes.
And you didn't pay October, November, and December?
No.
Why?
Here's what the reason I did it. We filled out an application for a new lease. We agreed to pay the new rent. After this, he comes to me and says, now we need another $3,000 for a security deposit. In all this time, I have 3 weeks to come up with all this extra money on top of the regular rent. I couldn't afford it.
Okay, and then they evicted you, I assume.
They didn't evict me.
You just left.
My name isn't on the eviction.
Shh. Are you still in the apartment?
No.
So you left?
Yes.
In December, on December 15th. That's what you told me a moment ago.
Yeah.
But you didn't pay any rent. October, November, and December. Any.
Yeah.
Well, there's no excuse for that. You're living in an apartment, you're not paying rent. It's not reasonable for her to pay rent in her apartment, where she's now living, and your apartment. You find that reasonable?
No, I didn't think it was reasonable the way they... I wasn't given reasonable time to come up with the money.
Neither was she. You had a fight.
She chose to leave.
She chose to leave because it wasn't working anymore.
Right.
So you have two choices. Either you leave or she leaves. Without getting into all the bad stuff of what happened, which I don't think is absolutely necessary, this is just a question of morality and justice. So you each had your own obligations. She had to move and find a new place to live that was going to be more expensive than where you are. I assume she paid rent. You chose not to pay rent. How is that fair? How is that balanced, sir?
She didn't pay no rent.
No. She's going to show me proof that she was on the lease during that period of time. The landlord is going after her for the rent money. She's going to show that to me.
I'm the one that...
Jessica Schleicher is suing her ex-boyfriend, Sam Branch, for unpaid rent and the costs of an eviction.
Now, I'm going to ask you the question again. Does that sound fair and reasonable to you?
No, it didn't sound fair and reasonable that I wasn't given a suitable amount of time to come up with $5,000.
That's between you and the landlord. What does that have to do with her?
It don't have nothing to do with her.
But she,
I'm not
okay,
on the lease.
Can I see the notice that you got from the landlord?
Yes, there's the eviction against me with all the documents you need.
This is not a signed judgment.
That's not the judgment?
It's not signed.
I think that's the copy the lawyer gave me. So yeah, I might not have the signed copy with me.
Well, you're supposed to bring the signed copy with you. Okay. There's no question the rent was due. There's no question that the eviction proceedings were for money, so that whatever monies are transferred will be transferred to the owner of the condo, because that's to whom it is owed, correct?
The property management company, yes, ma'am.
Okay. The second part of your lawsuit is that damages resulting from eviction and abuse. What is that about?
It was the difference of the rent from the condo to the new place because I was forced out.
Okay.
With police and everything else. I was out a lot of money.
That's not his problem. Somebody was going to be forced out of this apartment, either you or him.
But I'm the one that had to call the cops, and I have police reports, and he's the one that was abusive. I had no other choice but to leave my family's home.
Well, it was your family home. You lived like a family for 16 years. You weren't hospitalized as a result of this incident, correct?
No, ma'am.
You didn't see a doctor as a result of this incident, correct?
No.
You don't have any photographs to show me as a result of any injuries, correct?
No physical injuries, ma'am.
What you are complaining of is that he would talk to you incessantly, wouldn't let you sleep, right? I read it.
There was a lot more than that, ma'am.
There was no physicalness between the two of you that I read here.
There was yelling, spitting, throwing things, and picking up the bed that I was sitting on and slamming it down, and you know, just anything but putting physical hands on me to avoid the police.
Well, he's not paying for your new apartment, and you're not going to pay for his new apartment. Anyway, the resolution of this case is easy: $6,063, and the check will be made payable to property management. Okay, thank you very much. We're done.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't call it living for free, you know. If you're gonna treat me like I'm a tenant, then you gotta treat me like a tenant. You gotta give me a 30-day notice.
I do feel Sam owed me some money for everything that I had to spend leaving the place.
You gotta give me all the stuff that comes along with being a tenant, instead of just skipping away.
I wouldn't have had to leave if it wasn't for his abuse, so.
Better to part ways.
Time to take care of me.
You were right when you said you lived together for 16 years. She kept referencing it as her family home, which I understand the history, and she lived there since she was a child. But when you live there with your partner for 16 years, that becomes your shared family home. Like you said, someone was going to have to leave, and someone was going to have to pay more rent. So, you know, at the end of the day, someone was going to have to leave.
Right. And the landlord, the person who is supposed to get the money, will get the money because they're the people who are out the rent.
Yeah.
And he had an obligation to pay rent. He just knew he wasn't responsible for it legally, and they couldn't go after him for it, so he just didn't pay it. Well, can't do that. It's not right.
Case number 3010, Smith-Trammell versus Martin. All parties, please step forward.
Lindsay Smith and Lakeisha Trammell are suing their former friend, Charlene Martin, for vacation costs to Brazil.
Miss Trammell, you and Miss Smith have known each other for how long?
Almost 25 years.
And Miss Smith, how long have you known Miss Martin?
Probably about 8 years.
And you?
Maybe about 4.
And over a period of time, you three ladies have traveled alone, the three of you, frequently. How many have the three of you traveled on?
3.
To where?
Los Angeles.
And where was the second trip?
The second trip was a cruise to, I believe it was Grand Cayman.
Just the three of you went?
No, it was actually myself and about 25 of my friends.
And you went?
Yes, it was
Was
a
it
large
fun?
group. Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
No issues?
There's always issues, but yeah.
There always is.
Nothing big.
Yeah, you would go with your family, there were always
Exactly.
Lindsay Smith and Lakeisha Trammell claim their former friend, Charlene Martin, owes for vacation costs to Brazil.
Okay. When was the next trip?
The third trip was actually this particular trip in.
Everybody agree on that? This was supposed to be the third trip together?
Supposed to be the third trip.
And where was it supposed to take you?
We were traveling to Brazil.
And this is your complaint. Your complaint is that you put certain things
on my credit card.
Your credit card. And Miss Martin subsequently decided that she did not want to go on the trip. And because of that, and you had certain non-refundables, you were out a certain amount of money.
That is true. Ma'am.
Okay. I think it's Miss Martin's position that she booked some of her flights.
I paid for my flights.
And didn't go. You just lost the money.
Correct.
How much money did you lose?
$518.96.
You weren't sick or anything.
No, I didn't feel comfortable going.
You just didn't want to go because you didn't feel comfortable.
Correct.
Something happened, which you'll tell me about, that suggested there was a little bit of hostility, and you decided you didn't want to go, even if it cost you a couple of bucks. Tell me what specific charges you made that you want her to be responsible for, since it's clear, based upon what she told me, that there was no physical reason why she couldn't go. She just says she felt uncomfortable going, that she didn't think she would have a good time because of emotional messages she was receiving.
Right.
Okay, so tell me exactly what expenses you believe you incurred on her behalf that you should be responsible for.
The Airbnb.
Airbnb?
Yes.
Where?
The Airbnb that is in Rio. And
Airbnb, the Airbnb in Rio. So how much in total did you pay for the Airbnbs?
$669.81.
For her share?
For her share.
Correct.
So one Airbnb they booked, the second one they booked after I said I wasn't going. So I wasn't responsible for that, and she said that.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Tell me the date that you told them that you weren't going.
March 8th.
March 11th, actually.
March 8th.
Did you book the Airbnb after she said she wasn't going?
I had already sent her the Airbnb prior, and she agreed.
No, that's not my question. Did you book it after she told you she wasn't going?
The Airbnb was booked on March 9th, the second Airbnb.
Okay.
And then Wednesday, March 8th is when I said I wasn't going.
Can I see both documents?
There's more where I said I wasn't going, but this was just the date.
I'm just looking at the date. She sent this to you on March 8th. You said you booked that second Airbnb on March 9th. She had already told you she wasn't going. She's therefore not responsible for that second Airbnb, okay? Just give me the total cost of the first Airbnb.
$2,262.12.
Okay, $565. What else do you think she's responsible for?
The excursions as well.
Okay, I want you to tell me about the excursions.
So I booked excursions for all 4 people for the 8 days that we were there. I had everyone confirm about the excursions because I had to put in a reservation for those excursions.
Let me see what the document looks like.
I never confirmed any excursions.
If it was before the 8th, you're responsible for your 25%.
Of the excursion?
Absolutely. If you said, I'm not going, well, that's one thing. Say I'm not going. That's clear.
Yeah, hang gliding was the excursion.
I understand. If you say, I'm not going, don't book that for me, that's clear.
Okay.
So the excursions were per person?
Yes.
I see. Tell me exactly which excursions.
We went paragliding. We also did a few city tours.
I don't know what $750 Brazilian per person is.
Right. I have the breakdown of it.
A boat ride. Is that $300 per person or 300 Brazilian?
Everything is Brazilian.
Everything is Brazilian?
Yes.
Okay. So let's have all the figures in Brazilian, and Sarah is going to figure it out.
I wasn't going hang gliding. I know that much. And then the rest is
Well, then you should have, just a second, then you should have said clearly to them who were making the arrangements, I'm not going hang gliding. I would have said that right up front.
Well, I should have said I'm too
That's
scared.
not for me.
Yeah.
Ice skating, I'll go to. You want to take me for a wine tasting tour of the vineyards? I'm with you.
She's thorough, so she'll plan a lot of activities, like ideas.
Listen, and you would have gone and you would have enjoyed yourself.
On some of them.
No. You would have gone and you would have enjoyed yourself. And if you say, I want to be excluded on this, be clear. If somebody is making the arrangements, if they're non-refundable. Now, she's saying they're non-refundable. Is that correct?
That's correct. It was for 2 people because my best friend and her sister had already stated up front that they weren't going.
I'm much like you. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I was saying, when I even told my friend that I wasn't doing it, she said, I don't think your insurance covers that. And I was
Just
like,
a
oh,
second.
no.
Very easy. Just say, I'm not going. That's all you say. Say, I'm not going.
Okay.
For the hotel transfer, that $550, is that for the entire ride or was that per person?
That was for the entire ride, and then that would be split by 4.
No, just a second. That was for the entire ride.
I'm dividing it by 4.
You don't even have to divide that by 4. Cross that out.
Okay.
Now it's divided by 3. There's a difference between making a reservation for going hang gliding per person, which I understand, but if you have to get from one place to another, whether you take a car with 3 people or 4 people, if it's one cost, it doesn't make any difference. She's not charged for the transfers.
$432 US.
That comes to $997. Just for my own curiosity, you decided not to go. Just tell me briefly about that.
Keisha already didn't want me on the trip altogether. She said she wanted it to be just her sister, and Lindsay. So I already wasn't really welcome
Well, when
on the
did
trip.
she tell you that?
On a phone call.
What date?
Maybe the 11th.
We're already past that. You told them on the 8th that you weren't going.
And then even if I wanted to go, they expressed that I left a bad taste in their mouth and I could no longer come, even if I wanted to.
No, that's baloney, because you didn't say that here. $997, judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Court
you.
is adjourned.
I feel it's petty. I wish it could have been handled a different way.
Honestly, it's really disappointing. Not only did I lose money, but I also lost the friendship.
I hate to lose friendship over something this small, but you know, it happens.
The last conversation I had with her, she said she was going to pay me, and I never heard from her again.
Almost like one of those things where it's like, I just want everybody to get along.
She would not be traveling with me again.
So as you know, I just planned my first bachelorette trip as maid of honor. I find after doing that, what I will do in the future is do an in-person hangout. Everyone bring your computers. We're going to book everything the same day. There's no confusion. There's no back and forth. There's receipts. There's texts. Everyone can book your own thing.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. I don't book trips. I set the table. I say, we are going here on November 11th. You want to come? Say yes.
Okay, yeah.
Either you're in, you're out.
Clear.
Clear.
Nice and clear.
Bonita Roberts is suing her former friend, Kevin Burt, for a loan, harassment, and personal threats.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3113, Robert versus Burt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Roberts, you and Mr. Burt became friends because you were living in the same community.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, the defendant at some point told you that he was in need of a loan.
Yes.
And you made that loan to him. And what was the amount of that loan?
It was $190.
And he paid you back?
No.
Well, according to your complaint, you had, in fact, loaned him money in the past, and he had paid you back.
Yes, he did.
Okay, and that was $2,000.
Yep, $2,000 one time, $300 another.
And then there came a time in December of last year when Mr. Burt again said that his account was a little overdrawn.
Yes.
And he asked you if you could loan him that money.
Yes, and he would pay me back the following day.
And you did?
Yes. I sent him $190 through Zelle.
And you, as a matter of fact, acknowledged that she did, in fact, give you $190.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that $190 you have not given back to her.
No, Your Honor.
So now I don't know what you guys are drinking, but now you're each suing each other for $10,000. You want money owed for repayment of the loan, that's $190. And the rest for harassment and threats of bodily harm.
And defamation of character.
No, that's not in here. That's in your fantasy world. So let's start with this, Mr. Burt. She gave you $190.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why didn't you give it back to her?
Because it was a gift.
Did you ever give her a gift that was worth $190?
Yes, Your Honor.
Like what?
I'd take her to dinner at the steakhouse. I would buy the dinners. It would be well over $300.
How many times did you do that?
We went to the steakhouse a couple of times.
Okay. Tell me about the phone call that you made to her indicating your account was overdrawn.
Yeah, I called her up. I was trying to get a payday loan. I called her from the payday lender place and told her I needed $190.
And what did she say to you?
She said, okay, I'll send it to you by Zelle.
Okay. Did she tell you when she needed it back?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Now, at some point, she started to ask you for this money, this $190. When was that?
I think it was sometime around Christmas, I believe.
And what did you tell her?
I didn't really tell her anything. I was just kind of like ignoring her, you know, because I'm
well,
like...
she was asking you, when can I have my $190 back, and you were ignoring her.
Yeah, I'm like, this was a gift. I was telling her, you know, you gave me this as a gift.
Okay. Well, a gift is something that you usually buy or give to somebody without being asked. You actually called her and asked her for the money.
Correct.
You know, that would be like Sarah saying to me, I want this particular bag and I don't have money for it right now. Can you send it to me? And I send her the money, and then she says, well, that was a gift because you sent it. I mean, she's done that, but not exactly. Okay, so we have $190. Now, I want you to get from $190, Miss Roberts, to $10,000, and I want you to get there in 3 minutes or less.
Can I play a voicemail, please?
Absolutely, and this is going to be a $9,810
yes.
voicemail.
This is the first voicemail.
Hey, I got your phone call. Don't call me before 12 o'clock in the afternoon anymore, bitch. Like you, I don't work. I'm fully retired. And furthermore, you were calling me about your mother $200. Well, I just wanted to let you know you got your $200 worth on Christmas Day when you hurt my dog and you hurt me. I'm not giving you a dime. So you can kiss my ass, get the out of my life. The way you treated me on Christmas, the way you tried to humiliate me, the only thing you did was you lost your $200 and you lost a friend. I trusted you. And all of a sudden you went rogue, psycho, mother bitch on me.
Okay. I already told you have your $190 and he has a bad potty mouth.
Okay.
So after you got that message from him and he told you, you're out of my life, whatever it was, you had some sort of a bad Christmas, don't call me anymore, I don't want to know from you anymore, you did something, you humiliated me, you hurt my dog, leave me alone, get out of my life. What did you do?
I didn't do anything because I kept getting voicemail.
Just a second. So you didn't contact him again?
I sent an email saying how hurt I was,
just
but
a second.
I didn't call him, no.
Well, do you have the email?
Yeah, I do.
I'd like to see it. So you sent him an email after you got this message. May I see? You have it written?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Okay. This is a very nice email, Mr. Burt. So far, it's a very nice email. I'm going to read it out loud. It said, just so you can hear how ridiculous you get when you're inebriated. I really pray that you get some help. This has to stop. I have only been a good person to and for you, and you turn around and say these nasty things to me because you don't want to pay me back. I've always been there for you whenever you were in need, loaning you money when you need it. For you to make up a bunch of lies, it truly breaks my heart. And I feel so sorry for you, but I will pray that God helps you get a peaceful, calm space where you don't require liquid courage and possibly keep one good person around you. And she doesn't say anything nasty to you in this email, sir. It says, I will see you in court because I'm not going to allow you to steal money from me. I really thought we were friends. Bonnie, lovely, lovely email. If I got that message from you, sir, I would not have sent you this, except she probably knows that you're a drunk and that she felt sorry for you. On Christmas Day, did you go out and buy yourself a little pint of vodka?
Yes, I did.
And bring it, but shut.
Sorry.
Does it look like I need help from you?
You don't.
Oh, okay, good. You say that he threatened you.
He did.
I'd like to hear the threatening one so far.
Okay.
It's just
I'll play
potty
this.
mouth.
First of all, I had knee surgery. He threatened to harm my knees.
Okay, I'm
When
listening.
I asked for the money back, and this is what really bothered me.
And later today,
So the police were trying to pull you over while you were riding your motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Emotions got the best of me. I flipped the bird and just took off.
How fast did you take off?
Bonita Roberts claims her former friend, Kevin Burt, refuses to pay back a loan and harassed her. Kevin is countersuing Bonita for filing a false restraining order and emotional distress.
So what you did was nasty. What you did was nasty. Now, it may have clouded your judgment that you did have liquid courage. I don't know what you needed courage from. She wasn't doing anything bad to you. Okay, so far, that's not worth a nickel. That. It's just a bad potty mouth. You knew he was drunk. He said, I feel sorry for you, but I'm going to take you to court. You already won your $190.
Okay.
Okay? We're getting to $10,000. Now, you say that he threatened you.
He did.
And it's on a voicemail.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to hear the threatening one so far.
Okay.
It's just
I'll play
potty
this.
mouth.
First of all, can I just, a little backstory. I had knee surgery. He threatened to harm my knees.
Okay, I'm
When
listening.
I asked for the money back, and this is what really bothered me.
I just got the notice from Wells Fargo of you begging for $190. I'm going to call Wells Fargo and I'm going to let them know that I don't owe you a dime, you broke-ass bitch. And you better keep your communication with me either by phone or by email. Because if you ever show up at my house, God help you. I'm going straight for the knees.
Okay, got it. Aren't you embarrassed?
No, Your Honor, Miss Roberts started needling me about not being around her ignoring her calls after I got the loan, which I didn't. I was actually in the hospital after I suffered 3 incidents of cardiac arrest on July the 22nd.
Listen to me.
He's lying.
Shh. You should be embarrassed by those phone messages that you left her while you were drunk. And if you tell me you weren't drunk, that's twice as bad. You understand? That's not the kind of communication that a grown-up adult has with another grown-up adult, especially when you get this kind of an email in response.
Well, in that email,
just a second.
In that email, she stated that I could barely take care of myself.
Well, clearly you can't. If she said it, it's true.
No, it's not true.
Yes, it's true.
Well,
Mr. Burke, Mr.
Okay.
Okay, so they're nasty messages. She knows that when you left those messages, you were drunk. You know that, correct?
Yes, I do.
And you know that he said, don't ever come to his house, because if you come to his house, he's going right for the knees.
And I was very vulnerable because I had just had surgery.
I get it. You weren't going to his house either.
I wasn't.
Okay. But at some point, you filed for a protective order against
did.
him. And that's his counterclaim for $10,000, that you filed for a protective order against him, and that was ultimately dismissed.
Yes.
As I would dismiss it if I were hearing this application for a protective order. In any event, I don't like the messages that you sent to her, so your counterclaim's dismissed. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you can't hold your liquor, don't drink. If you're retired and you sleep until noon because you're drunk every day, that's not a smart thing for you. And if you've been in the hospital because of cardiac arrest, it's twice as not smart for you, right?
Right.
Yeah, right, unless you can't stop. If you can't stop, check into Betty Ford. Judgment for the plaintiff, and I'm awarding you $500 because I wouldn't like to listen to those messages either. $190 for what he owes you, and the rest is because you have a nasty potty mouth. We're done here. Thank you.
Well, she
Court is adjourned.
should have stopped calling me. She sees me buying a bottle of vodka, and she gets an attitude like, you owe me $190, but you're gonna buy vodka?
I'm happy. I got what I wanted. I just wanted my money back.
I think she was taking advantage of me because of my medical condition.
Of what? What would I take advantage of from him? He has nothing.
I had told her before I made those messages to leave me alone, but she continued to call me.
Nothing. He's a thing of the past for me.
I just find it so ironic that in all of those potty-mouthed messages where he's calling her a broke-ass bitch, he couldn't afford the $190 overdraft fee on his own account. So it's just, you know.
That's funny. She was a nice lady.
She was, and I think she expected him to pay her back, and he's just a drunk who had no intention of paying her back.
Case 3125, Halstead versus First. All parties, please come forward.
Paul Halstead is suing his ex-girlfriend, Kayla First, for the return of a cat and money from an online fundraiser.
Mr. Halstead, for a brief period of time, you and the defendant were a romantic item and lived together for a short period of time.
Yes, that is correct.
From what I read from your complaint, you met on a dating app in February of 2022.
Yes.
And how much thereafter did you move in together?
I would say maybe like 3-4 months.
So maybe in June.
That sounds accurate.
Now, when you met in February of 2022, did you have the 2 cats that are at issue in this case?
So actually I had 3 cats, which I do still all have.
Just a second.
Oh.
I'm going to do this my way. February of 2022, you had 3 cats.
Correct.
What were their names?
We have Dumpling.
When was Dumpling purchased?
Purchased in July 24th, 2018.
Before you knew the defendant?
Yes.
And you don't deny that?
No, ma'am.
And the other cat, next cat?
Bellatrix, were purchased her the year before, so it'd be 2017 in approximately November.
Okay. Also, before you knew her?
Yes.
Third cat?
Is Ouija, where she was purchased in July of 2020.
Also before you knew the defendant?
Yes.
Did you have any cats prior to February of 2022?
I did not.
So this is what the case is about. It didn't work out. You moved in together in June of 2022, and you moved out on what date?
It would be middle of October of last year.
So you lived together for approximately a year and a half.
Yes.
And when you split, it is your claim that the defendant took your cat Dumpling.
Yes.
And that not only did she take your cat Dumpling, but at some point either after or before, she started a GoFundMe page for what you categorize as future surgery for the cat.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And people actually gave you money for this future surgery for the cat. Yeah. How much money did they give you?
It was approximately $383.
You want your cat back and any money that she collected from the GoFundMe page?
That is correct.
That's what the case is about.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Well, the money you don't get.
Oh, no, that's 100% fine.
The money you don't get.
Yeah,
I can't think of a theory where you would be entitled to the money.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the cat. Let's talk about that, how that happened. Tell me, Ms. First, about the breakup. When did that occur and the circumstances surrounding you taking his cat?
Yes, so this would have been in October, early October. I already had kind of throughout my head, I already started a breakup letter due to, honestly, the lack of communication within the relationship.
Okay, good.
And then from
I'm not
there...
a therapist, I'm a
yes,
lawyer. He had the cat in question, I believe, since 2018. That is 4 years before he met you.
They were under my care for the entire year and a half we were together.
Who cares? That doesn't make it your cat.
Paul Halstead claims his ex-girlfriend, Kayla First, is wrongfully keeping his cat. Kayla says he agreed to give her the cat.
Okay, go ahead.
I had come home from work the one evening to...
What evening?
I'm not sure of the date at this time, but it was within the first week of October.
Okay.
And then from there, when I'm coming home, I saw Halstead on the couch to then Dumpling barely coming out, dragging herself over to me when she had then collapsed in front of me. From there, I went into hysterics, and I had questioned Halstead if he had even noticed her and her state of that evening, and he said no. I then frantically kind of went around, and I asked him to please take me to the emergency vet, to where I finally got there with her.
Just a second. Did you go together to the emergency vet?
Yes, we did.
So you went together to the emergency vet. Who drove?
I did.
Okay. Did she remain in the emergency room or go home with you that evening?
She went home with us.
Then what happened?
The lack of empathy he had, and the fact that during when we were at the emergency vet, I had forgotten my wallet. And he huffed and puffed and was not very happy that he had to
I don't
pay
care.
for it.
Happy. He paid the vet bill.
Yeah.
He paid the vet bill?
Yes.
Let us move on. Do you remember, by the way, how much the vet bill was?
It was $1,700.
Just a minute. So he paid $1,700 to have his cat seen in the emergency room?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Keep going.
That is when I decided I no longer wanted to be
You don't no longer want to be with him?
Yes.
Fine. Good.
And for the lack of empathy he had towards her, I asked if I may keep the cat while he kept his other cat within the time. And he did agree that I have in text that I was allowed to keep her throughout this breakup.
Okay, I'd like to see the text.
Here's the one.
What was the rest of your message, Paul? Hope you were doing okay. I wanted to talk to you about something important. I've been thinking about doing a lot of things.
That was the start of the breakup letter I had to send him.
Okay, but his message did not follow this.
That was exactly my thought of how confusing it was.
Well, that's very confusing to me.
That's exactly what he sent me after I sent him a very elongated, very kind letter.
I don't know what it says. Did you allow her to keep your cat Dumpling?
I did not. So I actually have the response text.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
That doesn't sort of make sense. This one says, okay, you can keep Dumpling. and I will send you $400 later. And this one says, you can't. I'm taking both cats with me. I just spent over $1,700 on Dumpling, who you say I supposedly don't care about. I do not want any of the furniture. You can keep it all. Okay. So you moved.
Yes.
Okay. What makes you think you have any right to this cat?
Just because I have taken care of her. When Halstead and I first got together, he wanted to get rid of all 3 of his animals, and I took them into my home where I actually didn't allow pets. Shortly after that, he did move in with me while he continued to commute to D.C. for work while I took care of them all week long, besides, you know, the 2 days that he
had them
home.
since 2008. He had the cat in question, I believe, since 2018. That is 4 years before he met you.
Yeah, and I didn't want him to give them away to, at the time, his late wife's roommates, and me taking them in. They were under my care for the entire year and a half we were together.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That doesn't make it your cat. That makes the cat a cat that was living with the 2 of you.
Yes, ma'am. And with that being said, when Halstead did come home to retrieve his belongings, he had taken everything out of the closet, took 1 cat and left Dumpling, and accused me for stealing her when he had taken all of the other cat's medications needed and left Dumpling. So from our conversation of being able to keep the cat,
Well,
I didn't think anything from that.
I want to see that. This isn't a conversation. Neither is what he gave. This isn't the conversation. This is just a line that starts someplace that has a question before it. Okay, you can keep Dumpling. It's not the way you start a letter that you write to somebody after she's just written you a goodbye note. That's not the way it starts. So,
unfortunately, it is the way it starts, ma'am. It was mind-boggling to myself that everything that I have written here.
Just a second.
Yes.
In this text, he says he wants Dumpling back.
Yes.
That he's just spent $1,700 on it. That is a demonstration of his commitment to the cat. Which came first, this or this?
The one prior, but unfortunately, I don't have any evidence from him and I.
You mean this one was first?
Yes, ma'am.
And this one was second.
And then we had.
And this one, he says, I'm coming to get my cat.
Which he did not take. He took the 1 cat and left Dumpling, and we did have a verbal agreement. Unfortunately, I don't have any proof or evidence of that.
Anyway, he's not getting any money, but he's getting his cat back. Sir, I will prepare an order, Mr. Halstead. You may take it to your local marshal, and you may go and pick up your cat if you wish. Do you understand?
100%.
You have 5 days in which to do that. If you don't accomplish that in 5 days, the order will read that the cat reverts back to the defendant and it will be titled in her name. Do you understand?
Gotcha.
That's reasonable?
100%.
Very good. That's the judgment of the court. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I respect her decision, but it's just unfortunate we couldn't get to the neglect he had for Dumpling herself.
So happy.
She was supposed to have surgery for herniated disc that she had, as well as be on asthma medication.
Pretty much already have the surgery that she was talking about lined up for, because I was feeling optimistic that would win.
He decided to provide that care for his other cat and not her.
But pretty much have her going in next month, so I'm super excited, honestly.
I hope he does the right thing.
Honestly, I'm just happy for Dumpling to be back with her sisters, so I'm super excited, honestly.
Well, at least someone finally took our advice and didn't buy an animal, a living thing, have a baby, buy a car when they were together but not married. So this was relatively simple. I think people get a strong affinity for either the children or the animals or things that they care for over the course of a relationship that then when it all comes to an end, they feel like they have some legal right to those things that they tended to throughout the relationship. But it was pretty easy. He came with the 3 cats. You took care of them and did all the dirty work while you were together, but that doesn't make them your cats.
Yeah, not your cats. And he took care of them for 4 years.
Yeah. Before she even came along.
Right. Easy. Yeah. They should all be that easy.
If only.
Case 3127, Olson versus Motella. All parties, please step forward.
Sandra Olson is suing her neighbor, Ashley Matele, for property damage caused by Ashley's 10-year-old son.
Miss Olson, it is your claim that the defendant's son, who was 10 years old, damaged your front door.
Yes.
And while the defendant acknowledges that her son damaged the front door, she says he has an excuse. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, what's your son's name?
Caden Timothy.
Okay, you want to come up here, please? I want a chair here. Okay, Caden?
Yes.
You're 10.
Yes, Your Honor.
You know who I am?
Judge Judy.
Did you ever watch me on TV? No? Does your mom?
My mom does.
Your mom does. So you catch it every once in a while. So you know how important it is to tell me everything that I ask you a question to be 100% honest.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You go to school?
Yep.
What grade are you in?
5th grade.
How do you do in school?
I'm always on task and I'm always doing good.
Good. Now, do you remember, Caden, August of last year when you were out with some of your friends?
Yes, ma'am.
How many friends were you out with?
It's 5 or 6, probably.
Were they friends of yours?
Yeah, they were like neighborhood friends.
Were you just out walking or riding a bike?
Riding a bike.
Were you all riding bikes?
Yeah, they were all riding bikes.
There's a game. It's a kid's game. What's it called?
Ding Dong Ditch.
Ding Dong
Ditch.
Ding Dong Ditch? Would you explain to me what Ding Dong Ditch is?
Ding Dong Ditch is where...
Look at me.
Ding Dong Ditch is where you kick or you knock on the door. And you
On a stranger's door?
Yeah, on a stranger's door. And you ride your bike away or run away.
Doesn't it seem fair that you're responsible instead of someone who caused no damage to their own property?
Not for $2,000.
I don't care if it's $2,000 or $20,000. That's what it cost her to put in a new door.
Sandra Olson claims her neighbor, Ashley Matele, owes for door damages after her 10-year-old son kicked Sandra's door.
Okay, so you know about this game?
Yeah.
And you knew about this game back in August?
Yeah.
Had you ever played it before?
No, I just learned
Did
it.
any of your friends played it before that you saw?
No, I never seen them play it. They just told me, let's go Ding Dong Ditch.
Well, when they said, let's go Ding Dong Ditch, you knew what they meant.
Yeah, I knew what they meant, but I never did it.
How did you know what they meant?
Because I seen a video on YouTube.
So I want you to tell me exactly what you did. You were riding your bike. Did you hit the door with your bike or did you hit the door with your foot?
I hit the door with my leg.
Where was your bike?
My bike was parked by us in the road. And
okay, and you walked up to this door.
Yep.
And you kicked it.
Kicked it gently.
Kicked it gently.
Just kicked it gently.
And then what did you do?
I went back home.
So you got on your bike and rode?
Back home,
back home. Okay. Now, the lady who owns that door, she didn't see you. So one of your friends ratted on you.
Yep.
There you go. Do you know which friend of yours ratted on you?
It was a girl that ratted on me too.
A girl?
A girl.
Now, when you got home, who was home?
My mom, and then I just went back outside.
Just a second. You went home because you had done this ding-dong ditch. You knew you did something wrong, right?
Yep.
Did you tell your mother? No.
No. I just went back outside.
So you went home, went in the house.
Yep.
Stayed there for a little while.
Yep, like 5
minutes. Just a second. So that in case somebody followed you, you were home.
Nobody followed me.
I know. But if you went back outside, what did you go back outside to do?
I just went back to the lady's house, and then the cops saw me.
Oh, so you went back to her house, and were the other kids there?
The other kids, they told me that they told on me, and the police saw me.
Okay, you can go back. Okay, now I'd like to see pictures of your door and what this lightly damaged door looks like.
I don't think it was kicked lightly, Your Honor.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Miss Olson. I was being facetious. No, that's not a lightly damaged door. And when you heard this noise, you went out and looked at the door and you called the police. Is that right?
No.
What'd you do?
I asked the children that were on their bikes.
Who did it?
Who did this? And none of them spoke out. So then I had to call the police, and they took pictures of my door. And I got an incident report.
Somebody, unfortunately, or fortunately, ratted out on your son. There really is no explanation or excuse for doing that. It's vandalism, right?
Yes.
Okay. And since you're his parent, as between you and the plaintiff, the financial responsibility for fixing his damage isn't with her, it's with you.
Correct.
Okay.
I do have something to add, Your
Okay.
Honor. So, in my defense, my son is only 10 years old. I don't know how his little foot can make that much of a damage to that door. He was in a situation where he was getting bullied by the other kids.
I don't know that at all.
Yep.
Certainly, he didn't tell me that. And if you believe that his actions were a result of being forced to do what he did, then you can sue the parents of those people that you think forced him to do what he did. It sounded to me like a very voluntary act by a 10-year-old who was aware of what the prank was, who did it, and then because he did it, he ran home, which is what a 10-year-old would do, got in the house for a minute, didn't tell you anything, and then figured, well, now I'll go back outside. And he went back to where he had done it, because that's where his friends were. And that's when he saw the police, and that's when everybody said, that's him, that's the one who did. Is anything that I'm saying damaging to you?
They egged him on to kick that door hard.
How do you know?
Because I was told that by
You can't tell me anything that you were told.
It's in the police report.
Then I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
And can I also see, please, the bill for fixing the door?
Okay, it's in yellow. And
egging on and bullying are two different things. Oh, well, the police came and spoke to you. The police said that you agreed to take care of the door because your son admitted to damaging the door.
Correct, but...
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
How much did you pay to fix the door?
it's a custom door, so I had to pay $2,307, which I'm still paying for, $56 a month.
So you had the door fixed?
Yes.
So there's a situation between someone who is totally innocent and who has been forced to spend money, which she clearly can't afford because she's paying this door off by the month, and you who are his parent. Doesn't it seem fair that you're responsible instead of someone who caused no damage to their own property?
Yeah, but...
Of course.
Not for $2,000.
I don't care if it's $2,000 or $20,000. That's what it cost her to put in a new door.
So...
You're an intelligent woman.
Sandra never reached out to me either.
You mean she never contacted you?
The conversation we had after the police officer was there.
Yes.
My son apologized for the incident that had happened. I never heard back from her ever since that day. She never reached out to me to tell me how much the door cost or what the damages were.
Just a second, is that correct?
No, I contacted her. I said I would need restitution for that door. And she said she was unemployed. And we had a nice conversation.
Okay. So is that the initial conversation that you had? You said you were unemployed? Or was that
at the time, yes, I was unemployed.
Okay. Are you working now?
Yes.
Great. $2,307. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
The decision was made.
It was honest and fair.
I'm sorry for when I made an awful decision.
I think he's an okay kid.
No more ding knowledge.
No hard feelings.
Do you know that I think he was absolutely an adorable little boy?
He was, and he even said, you know, it was a bad decision. I wish I could have made a different one, but, you know, he's 10, so at least he can recognize that.
I thought he was intelligent and truthful, and there was no excuse like there was in the answer that he was being bullied. Clearly, you're not bullied. You may be egged on.
Pressured or
you may be egged on at 10 years old. But you know, more and more courts are saying parents are responsible for the acts of their children.
As they should be.
Even sometimes criminal acts of their children if you fail in parenting. I don't think that this mom, it was failed parenting. I think that he's a good kid, and I think that it was just a stupid thing. It was just a bad choice.
I agree.